That night, the group set up camp right beside their staging point. Calling it setting up camp was a bit of an overstatement. They simply found a flat patch of grass, spread out felt mats, and sat around a bonfire. As soon as he sat down, Wu Tai started gnawing on dried monster meat, his cheeks puffed out. He mumbled with his mouth full, "Nothing beats a full stomach. Eat well, and you'll have strength to slay monsters. This dried meat gives me energy." While eating, he passed pieces around to the others. Lu Jinghong was polishing his bow nearby, rubbing the bow arm back and forth with a cloth. The rapid scraping almost sent sparks flying. Jiang Sun stared, dumbfounded. No wonder he was an archer renowned for speed. Nobody could match that hand speed. Still polishing, he kept chatting. "Tai, slow down. Don't stuff yourself silly before we even enter the secret realm tomorrow. You know nothing. I've got a stomach big enough for a boat. I could easily put away another 10 jin of meat. This is called building up reserves, get it?" Bai Lu pulled a paper parcel from her backpack and carefully unfolded it, revealing a pile of pills inside. "These are grain-avoiding pills. One will keep you full for 3 days. Anyone want some?" She started handing them out one by one. When she reached Jiang Sun, she first reached out and pinched his arm. Then she clicked her tongue repeatedly, looking full of maternal concern. Was this some common quirk among healers? Having someone like her as a partner would probably be pretty nice. Bai Lu sized up Jiang Sun's scrawny frame from head to toe and clicked her tongue again. "Little brother, I've got muscle-building pills here too. Want a few? You're far too thin, it breaks my heart." Muscle-building pills, really? He wondered if these pills actually worked as advertised. If they did work, Jiang Sun wouldn't mind trying them. Who wouldn't want to be stronger? Jiang Sun took the dark pill Bai Lu handed him and sniffed it. It smelled bitter. He seriously doubted Bai Lu's craftsmanship. The pill looked no different from a clump of mud. He decided not to take it right away and stowed it away. Instead, he grabbed a piece of dried meat Wu Tai offered and started chewing. After a few bites, he grew frustrated. Why force himself through this tough, dry meat? Going back to the secret realm to get nice food from his mother was out of the question with so many people around. But his stomach was growling. Then he remembered he kept a complete barbecue kit in his backpack. Why suffer through dry jerky when he could have a proper barbecue? He got straight to work, pulling out the full set of barbecue gear and called out, "Sister Bai Lu, Brother Wu Tai, everyone come over. We're having a barbecue." As he spoke, he pulled out ingredients: antler mutton, crab pincers, wind wolf hind legs, and even an enormous scorpion tail. Bottles and jars of seasonings followed. Everyone's jaws dropped in shock at the sight. Who in their right mind professional would bring a full barbecue setup out into the wilderness to level up? No one hesitated, though. They tossed aside the dried meat Wu Tai had given them and joined in. Meng Xinghe walked over and looked on with obvious disdain. Anyone who eats barbecue is a puppy." Then he broke into a grin. "I cast a divination today. The omens say I ought to eat barbecue, so barbecue it shall be." He rolled up his sleeves and started threading mutton onto skewers. The whole group threw themselves into the lively barbecue feast. Not a trace of tension lingered, even though they were about to explore a secret realm. The supervising elder from the Spirit Pivot Pavilion shook his head watching their carefree behavior. How times have changed. These young geniuses are full of energy. Just being around them made him feel younger. Qin Yumian tried to join in, but the others chased her away. Everyone thought, with you around, you human air conditioner, the charcoal will go cold and we'll never cook anything. Helpless, Qin Yumian settled for helping thread meat on his skewers instead. Charcoal was laid out. Duan Muli took out her fire-starting treasure, her baby fire dragon. The little dragon opened its mouth and exhaled. Done. The charcoal blazed bright red in an instant. Soon skewer after skewer of grilled meat was ready. Everyone ate and chatted. Lu Jinghong, a compulsive talker, would not stop chattering. "Hey, Master Meng with one eye. When will your eye heal? You can't stay one-eyed forever." Jiang Sun glanced at Meng Xinghe. Sure enough, he was tilted to one side, using only his right eye to line up meat on skewers. He looked utterly ridiculous. Unfazed by Lu Jinghong's teasing, Meng Xinghe replied, "You mortals wouldn't understand. This is my exclusive secret art. My divinations are far more accurate when I see with one eye." Jiang Sun had only been joking, yet the man was actually squinting with one eye shut. "Master Meng, you foresaw great peril for this trip. Couldn't you come up with some way to ward off misfortune and say some blessings for us?" At those words, Meng Xinghe seemed to remember something. He got busy, grabbed several branches, and arranged them on the ground, claiming he would perform a ritual to bless and protect everyone from evil. Couldn't he at least take this seriously? Using random broken branches felt like a joke. Meng Xinghe paid it no mind. Materials come from nature. Sincerity is all that matters. His charlatan aura shone bright. He placed branches here and there, quickly forming a lopsided pattern resembling the Qian trigram from the 8 trigrams. Then he began chanting a string of unintelligible incantations. He mumbled away for a long time before scratching his head. What do I do if I forgot the incantation? Lu Jinghong laughed. Master, you are so unprofessional. Are you sure you're blessing us, not summoning disaster? How do you forget your lines halfway through a blessing ritual? The whole group burst into laughter. Nonsense, this is definitely a blessing. It's just, I rarely use this incantation, so it slipped my mind. Meng Xinghe pretended nothing was wrong and adjusted the branches. One branch flicked, and the whole formation fell completely apart, scattering everywhere. You have to hand it to him. If this were a toppling puzzle game, his setup would be perfect. Touch one piece, and everything collapses. Master, your formation is just as crooked as your eye. Come eat some meat. Lu Jinghong jabbed. Jiang Sun sat beside the bonfire, watching everyone's antics, feeling quite content. Early the next morning, before dawn had fully broken, the steward woke them all. Remember the rules. Go on in. 20 people lined up and walked into the cave. At the cave's bottom stood a blue glowing portal, like an upright sheet of still lake water. Jiang Sun stood in the middle of the line. The moment he stepped through, something gave him a gentle tug, and his vision blurred. When he opened his eyes again, he stood beneath a dull, gray sky. This was the land of sleeplessness. You have entered the secret realm, land of sleeplessness. The system prompt sounded right on cue. Hanging high in the sky was a gigantic eye. It was half-lidded, its pupil bottomless. Fine red veins crawled across its off-white sclera. It felt as though the entire sky itself was watching you. No matter which direction you turned, you had the sense the great eye was following your every move. Jiang Sun only glanced upward for a second before a chill ran down the back of his neck, and he quickly lowered his head. Anyone with megalophobia would be terrified out of their wits. This was supposed to be a game, like World. How could such bizarre colossal entities exist? It made little sense. If this was a living being, how enormous must its true form be? Its eye alone filled the entire sky of this secret realm. Would its true body be the size of an entire planet? An epic rank boss? Myth rank? Jiang Sun dared not imagine. Dark, red threads webbed across the sclera, like countless cracks spreading across the sky. Its pupil held endless depth. Staring too long gave the eerie sensation of falling straight toward it. Jiang Sun kept his head down, refusing to meet that massive gaze. He remembered the steward's first rule: never hold prolonged eye contact with that eye. He had no idea what would happen, but it certainly would not be anything pleasant. Most likely it would mean instant death. He looked down at the ground beneath his feet. Cracked black soil, hard underfoot. Wind blew, swirling clouds of pale gray dust. The wind itself looked whitish. Faint shadowy shapes seemed to shift within that pale haze. The whole scene looked like the end of the world. This bore no resemblance to the style of the Guanlan world that Jiang Sun knew. Jiang Sun had experienced very few secret realms, so he had no frame of reference. Secret realms in this world came in all sorts of strange varieties. He gazed into the distance. A lone ruined city rose on the horizon, its walls scarred and broken, bearing marks of countless battles. Several lopsided towers jutted above the walls, like the jagged gums of a toothless old man. They looked almost comical in their decay. Jiang Sun wondered if their mission objective was to defend this city. That would be no easy task. He also wondered whether native inhabitants still lived here. Wasteland stretched endlessly outside the city walls all the way to the horizon. A strange, indefinable scent hung in the air, like some invisible force eroding everything. From time to time, low droning rumbled in his ears, muffled, as if some immense creature was breathing far off in the distance. It's freezing here, Wu Tai shuddered. Humph, it doesn't look all that impressive. Lu Jinghong tried to sound tough, though his voice trembled noticeably. It's just really big and weird, that's all. Bai Lu tightened her grip on her medicine basket silently. Qin Yumian said nothing, yet frost spread in a small circle around her feet. Her frigid cold pushed the pale, dusty wind away. If he were not afraid of the cold himself, Jiang Sun would have gone over beside her to seek shelter. Gu Changfeng held his sword and glanced up at the giant eye. The eye seemed to shift, turning its gaze straight toward him. Gu Changfeng stood taller and met its stare unflinchingly. Stare all you want. I'd like to see what you can do to me, he declared. What a reckless fool, practically walking straight into danger. Jiang Sun hurried forward and pushed his head down. My good ancestor, why are you deliberately courting disaster? For someone with an SSS rank talent, Gu Changfeng seemed rather impulsive. Was this the unyielding pride of sword cultivators? A real-life version of What Are You Looking At? The iron ball perched on Jiang Sun's shoulder had retreated entirely inside his collar, only half its head peeking out. Master, it whispered, I want to go home. You're a lump of iron. What are you scared of? I can't explain it. The iron ball buried its head deeper into his collar. It feels like that thing is watching me non-stop. Even this simple-minded iron creature knew fear. It understood they stood before a being vastly superior to themselves. Fear gnawed at Jiang Sun too, but as its master he could not show weakness. Relax. The Spirit Pivot Pavilion wouldn't send us here to die. As long as we avoid taboos, that I won't harm us. Right then, a notification echoed inside every person's mind. Entering Land of Sleeplessness. Identity assignment beginning before Jiang Sun could react. Something flickered above his head, and a flood of information poured directly into his thoughts. He had not even checked his own identity when Wu Tai's loud voice boomed out. City Guard. Defend the city. This is right up my alley. Wu Tai smacked his thigh in delight. One heavy slap landed on Jiang Sun's shoulder, nearly knocking him off balance. Xiao Jiang, want to team up with me? I got assigned city defense. Thanks, Brother Tai. Lu Jinghong, recorder? What's a recorder? Am I supposed to gather intelligence and analyze information? I'm good at that. Qin Yamian shot Lu Jinghong a blank look, clearly doubting whether he could handle intelligence work. Her assigned identity was, well, Watcher. Her duty was guarding the dry while the steward had spoken of. She frowned in complete confusion over what that job entailed. Everyone received an identity. Gu Changfeng became the Watched One, fitting his reckless choice to lock eyes with the giant eye. Gu Changfeng, the Watched One. He glanced skyward. Let it watch all at once. Shen Xingzi glanced at Gu Changfeng. I'm a butcher. I thought we came here to hunt monsters and level up for the triple experience bonus. Aren't we all butchers? Why am I the only one labeled this? Duan Mu Li held her young dragon. The words Wasteland Scavenger floated above her head. She said nothing, and the young dragon yawned. Bai Lu, pharmacist. Gathering herbs is right in my wheelhouse. Guanxinyu, bell keeper. He nodded. Ring bells. Got it. Finally, it was Jiang Sun's turn. The words that appeared in his mind read, Nameless. Nameless. Lu Jinghong leaned over to peek. Does that mean you're just here to make up numbers? Jiang Sun's mouth twitched. Make up numbers, fine by him. As long as he earned universal experience points. He kept that thought to himself. What the others did not know was that his identity came with an ability, reduced attention from the giant eye. This was a fantastic identity. He would draw less notice and act more freely. Meng Xinghe stood to one side, his face dark with anger. Bone gatherer. He ground his teeth. I am a proper Taoist priest, not a corpse handler. Is this some sort of insult to Taoists? Master, being a bone gatherer is great. Lu Jinghong added fuel to the fire. You might dig up some awesome treasures. You. Meng Xinghe's beard shook with rage. Unable to win the argument, he fumed silently. Jiang Sun almost burst out laughing seeing his state. Identity assignment felt exactly like class allocation on the first day of school. Fortunes varied wildly, purely random luck. Another notification resounded in every mind. Secret Realm Main Quest, Land of Sleeplessness. Uncover the source of the monster horde and make that unknown entity close its eye. Notice 1. You cannot voluntarily exit the Secret Realm. You may only leave upon completing the main quest. 2. There is no time limit for the quest. But the longer the eye stays open, the stronger the monsters pouring out will become. Silence fell over the group. The source of the monster horde? Wu Tai scratched his head. More monsters mean more experience. Why would we stop it? Lu Jinghong's expression turned grave. Brother, use that muscle-filled brain of yours. The warning says as time passes, more and more monsters will spawn. We'll get torn to shreds before we can farm any experience. Guanxinyu spoke solemnly. Jinghong is right. To maximize our gains, we must time our strike against the horde source carefully. We cannot move too early, yet we cannot let the horde grow beyond our ability to handle. Our priority is finding a way to make that entity close its eye. Once we know how, we can decide when to act. Truly the group's most experienced member, his reasoning was sound. Guanxinyu looked toward the other 10 people who had entered alongside them. All 10 had received the city defender identity. Their role would mainly be holding the city. No longer lingering, the whole party set off toward the distant city. Upon arriving at the city gate, they spotted the dry well Qin Yumian was tasked to watch. Its mouth gaped black and dark, peering down revealed nothing at all. Jiang Sun deliberately walked wide around it. He dared not ignore a single one of the steward's 3 rules. Everything about this secret realm felt eerie, steeped in an unsettling atmosphere. The lone city looked even more broken up close. Its gates were battered and full of dents, clear proof of countless assaults. Iron sheets crudely reinforced the door panels in a shoddy-looking fashion. The group filed inside. Guan Xinyu took command right away, assigning city defenders to climb the city walls for reconnaissance and maintain constant patrols. The rest of them would explore within the city. Jiang Sun went into the city with them. Strangely enough, they had not encountered a single monster from the spawn point all the way to the city. Was this because the secret realm had only just opened? Did every entry trigger a fresh reset? Inside the city, most buildings had collapsed roofs. Only a handful remained partially intact, their doors hanging crookedly and creaking in the wind. Jiang Sun stepped inside one relatively intact building. Judging by household objects left behind, its former inhabitants had been roughly human-sized. Perhaps humans had once lived here. Beyond that, he found no useful clues. Walls were covered in twisted scribbles, impossible to tell whether they were writing or drawings. Carved deep into a wall near the city gate were 4 characters: survive and get out. The cuts ran deep, as though whoever carved them had poured every ounce of strength they possessed into it. No one knew which former party had left this mark, nor whether that person had ever escaped alive. The group settled in the largest mansion they could find. Calling it a mansion was generous. It was little more than 4 standing walls with a roof barely capable of keeping off rain. They did not demand comfort, merely somewhere temporary to take shelter. As soon as they stepped in, Wu Tai began inspecting the compound. He circled the yard, climbed onto the wall, and scanned the outer landscape. Jumping back down, he wore a satisfied grin and boomed at the top of his lungs. This city can be held. Starting today, I, Wu Tai, claim these city walls. Whatever monsters come, I'll cut every last one down. Had too much barbecue addled his brain? His voice was as thunderous as ever. Lu Jinghong polished his bow nearby. You sure jumped straight onto the job. You just got assigned as a guard, and you're already taking full charge. Damn right. Wu Tai slapped his chest hard. I was born to guard walls. This guard identity was practically tailor-made for me. All right, we'll count on you for the walls, Lu Jinghong said. Just don't be the first one running when monsters show up. When have I, Wu Tai, ever run away? Wu Tai grew indignant. When monsters come, you'll see how many I slay. Jiang Sun squatted in the corner, sorting out his backpack, listening to the conversation between the two, the corners of his mouth twitching non-stop. Well, Taiga made a pretty competent guard. It was just a question of how long his enthusiasm would last. He mentally went over the team's resources. Gu Changfeng, level 56, SSS grade sword, Qi soaring to the sky, the powerhouse of the team. Duanmu Li, level 50, SSS grade. The palm-sized young dragon in her arms looked unassuming, yet dealt astonishing damage. Qin Yumian, level 50, SS grade Frost Whisper. Guan Shanyue, level 50, SS grade Unbreakable Rampart. Shen Xingzi, level 55, SS grade Sword Sage. Lu Jinghong, level 50, S grade Swift Gale. Wu Tai, level 40, S grade Brutal Strength. Bai Lu, level 40, SS grade Spirit Healer. Meng Xinghe, level 40, S grade Fortune Teller. Counting further. Oh, and himself, level 10. Good grief, a whole squad of geniuses at level 40 to 50. Odd. With him, a level 10 fledgling summoner, caught right in the middle. If word of this setup got out, people would think some top-tier powerhouse had brought a newbie along to clear a dungeon, or that some scion of a noble house had rounded up a whole team just to power-level him. Of course, if he tried harder, he might even get doted on by the whole group. Iron Ball poked its head out from his collar, glanced around, and whispered, Master, when do we start smashing? My big hammer is itching for a fight. You're just a hunk of metal. Where'd you get this reckless streak, genetic inheritance? By the way, who do you want to bring out as your fighting partner? At Jiang Sun's question, Iron Ball looked rather troubled. It stretched out its tiny 2-centimeter long finger and started counting on it. Salted fish? Sure, its healing output was high, but its damage was mediocre. Hakimi? Forget it. Even worse, its rank was far too low. Plumage? Not a bad option, but it had 0 synergy with Iron Ball. Officially, Jiang Sun was a first-order summoner. Summoners of this rank could command at most 2 contracted beasts. Privately, Jiang Sun had no wish to reveal too much of his strength. Besides, they were in a party. If he unleashed all 4 of his contracted beasts at full power, other party members would siphon away part of the experience. For now, bringing out 2 would suffice. Truth be told, Jiang Sun missed Plumage's swing very much, but summoning salted fish made far more sense right now. Once its domain unfolded, it would pair perfectly with Iron Ball. Jiang Sun mulled this over silently. Before nightfall, The 10 members of Spirit Pivot Pavilion had surveyed every inch of the city wall defenses. Their lead captain came over to go over plans with Guan Shanhua. He spoke little, yet laid everything out clearly. Guan Shanhua nodded. Very well. When the beast tide hits tonight, shout out, and everyone gets up onto the wall. Qin Yumian had spent the whole afternoon standing beside the dry well. She returned looking worn out. Sounds echo from deep inside that well, regular as clockwork, like some unknown creature breathing, or even snoring. But it's far too deep. By the time it drifts up the shaft, it's very faint. Could it lead somewhere strange? Lu Jinghong blurted out. Indeed. Daylight is fading fast. We have the city to defend tonight. Tomorrow we'll send a few people down to investigate with you. Guan Shanhua spoke up. We still haven't found a way to end the beast tide. This is a lead. Since our mission requires us to guard this ancient well, it must hold clues. Darkness fell. The giant eye hanging in the sky slowly closed. A gray veil seemed drawn across the heavens. Light ebbed away, and a rustling sound rolled out from deep within the wasteland. At first it sounded like wind. Then it grew louder and denser, like countless claws scraping across the ground. They're here. Guan Shanhua hoisted his shield onto his shoulder. To the wall. 20 people scrambled onto the city wall and lined up. The wall itself was only 200 to 300 meters long. Each person had a huge stretch to defend. Jiang Sun leaned over the battlements and peered down, a chill running down his spine. From the wasteland, a dense dark horde surged toward the wall. Gray, white forms loomed through dust and haze. As they drew near, they proved to be gray, furred night, prowling dire wolves, taller than humans, jaws split wide, thick viscous saliva dripping from their fangs. Night, prowling dire wolf, normal LV .60 HP, 50100 attack power, 4640 defense, 1462 skill, night, ambush bite. Level 60 wolves? That's what we get on the very first night. Wu Tai let out a hearty laugh. This? Barely enough to warm me up. Lu Jinghong loosed an arrow straight into one wolf's eye socket. The beast crumpled. Warm you up? Tai Ge, just look at their numbers. We'll be hacking away for quite a while. The first wave of dire wolves crashed against the base of the wall. Defenders of Spirit Pivot Pavilion loosed arrows and hurled spells. One archer's aim was terrible. His arrow flew wide and clanged off Wu Tai's helmet. Wu Tai spun around and roared. If you're bad at it, practice more. Don't come on duty till you're good enough. The man flushed bright red. Sorry. Having shouted, Wu Tai got straight back to work. He possessed no ranged attacks. He hefted a stone as big as a city brick and hurled it down, scoring a direct hit every single time. Carried away by throwing stones, he spotted Jiang Sun still huddled behind the battlements and brightened. Xiao Jiang, don't just stand there watching. You're a summoner. Call out your contracted beasts. Jiang Sun had hoped to lie low. Called out. He gave an awkward grin. All right then. Let them stretch their legs. He raised his hand and activated his summoning art. Light flashed, and Salted Fish appeared. Iron Ball, already close beside Jiang Sun, soared straight out toward the fighting below. Salted Fish, a plump silvery, white fish, hovered in mid-air, looking utterly relaxed. It had been about to strike a cool pose, but seeing Iron Ball already charging off, it hurried after it. Go, Jiang Sun said. Give it everything you've got. Crush those foes down there. Iron Ball had been pent up for ages. It let out a roar, plunged off the wall, and smashed into the ground, cratering the earth. Its huge head swelled in size. It used mountain, shattering strike, slamming head first into the thickest cluster of wolves. Boom. 7 or 8 dire wolves went flying, bones snapping, crashing back into their pack and knocking many more off balance. Shockwaves rippled across the ground, leaving a ring of wolves staggering, unable to keep their feet. One single hammer strike stripped a huge chunk of health from a pack of wolves. Iron Ball dealt over 30,000 damage. Night, prowling dire wolves only had a little over 50,000 hit points. Salted Fish floated in the air, its silver radiance suddenly blazing. Parched Domain unfolded. 50 meters out from its position, the air turned dry and scorching. Dire wolves rushing into the domain visibly slowed. Their fur dried, cracked, and flaked off in clumps. 1 second, 2 seconds passed. Wolves within the domain dropped dead in swathes. Salted Fish's base attack stood at 2820. Stacked with a 230% contracted beast enhancement bonus, plus a further 15% technique multiplier, its stats had sky-rocketed. The withering damage multiplier of Parched Domain stood at 0.5. Every single monster inside lost more than 5,000 health points each second. On paper the per-tick damage did not look overwhelming. yet it triggered every single second. It also applied a heavy slow effect. Salted Fish was no longer the creature that only knew how to lie around doing nothing. Seeing how fiercely they fought, Jiang Sun could not help cheering them on from the wall. "Go get him, Miss Salted Fish. You're amazing." Salted Fish rolled its eyes, thinking it was definitely far more capable than its summoner master. Blood, drying regeneration flared to life next. Something peculiar happened. Green little fish phantoms drifted slowly above the heads of every member of their 10-man team and the contracted beasts. Silence fell over the wall and the ground below. The defenders of Spirit Pivot Pavilion even forgot to knock their arrows. "Good heavens," Wu Tai gaped. "Xiao Jiang, no, Brother Jiang. What have you been feeding your contracted beasts? They're terrifyingly powerful." "Nothing special." Jiang Sun scratched his head. "They just fought lots of monsters and grew stronger. That metal ball of yours sent 7 or 8 wolves flying with one headbutt." Wu Tai hopped about, pointing down below. "And that fat fish is even more ridiculous. Wolves are dying in droves inside its domain. I have to hack them down one by one with my axe. And you said these were B-grade spirit beasts." Jiang Sun kept his composure outwardly. "Just luck. They deserve all the credit themselves. Who are you calling fat fish? Call me young lady from now on." Salted Fish's voice echoed from far below. Yet everyone stared at the green shimmer floating over their heads with odd expressions. Bai Lu watched, completely stunned. She had always taken this level 10 team member for nothing more than the group's mascot. Good grief. This fellow was stealing her job. The healing output was outright higher than her own. What she did not know was that Salted Fish's healing scaled directly from damage dealt to enemies. Without damage output, Salted Fish would not be able to heal anyone at all. Lu Jinghong silently crossed out entries in his notebook. "Well then, the kill rankings need to be rewritten. Those two alone are worth half our whole team for one night." Wave after wave of dire wolves surged against the wall. 20 fighters took turns striking. Gu Changfeng swung his sword. Energy swept along the base of the wall, wiping out a whole row of dire wolves in an instant. Shin Xingzi would not be outdone. Sword, flashes flickered non-stop as he fought and counted kills. While shooting arrows, Lu Jinghong jotted notes in a booklet. Third wave coming in. 12 kills for Tai Gu, 11 for Gu Changfeng, 10 for Shin Xingzi. Shin Xingzi's sword paused mid-swing. "Why are you keeping count?" "Professional integrity of a recorder," Lu Jinghong said earnestly. "I'll post the results up later." Jiang Sun kept busy too. He worked as a seal bearer. With so many monsters down below and the other geniuses dealing damage rapidly, he could not afford to miss a single kill. His hands flailed wildly as if he were having convulsions. The others watching expected him to foam at the mouth and collapse any second. "Jiang Sun, what exactly are you doing? Do you need to gesture that much to command your contracted beasts?" Duan Mu Li's soft voice carried over. "Don't ask. I'm building up my hand speed." In truth, Jiang Sun did not need hand gestures to plant life seals. But monsters were packed so densely, mental commands alone were too slow. He pointed and marked each target one after another, terrified of letting any slip past him. Qin Yumian did not join the front line fighting atop the wall. Standing halfway up the ramparts, she raised her staff and unleashed a wave of bitter frost. Dire wolves at the wall's base all slowed sharply. Combined with Salted Fish's domain slow, the wolves could barely draw near the wall at all. Bai Lu hurried back and forth behind the wall, monitoring everyone's health, ready to cast healing whenever anyone took damage. She barely got the chance to act. Salted Fish's healing was simply too overwhelming. Ding. Gained experience plus 3,480, life seal points plus 1, strength plus 1 ding ding. Gained experience plus 3,480, life seal points plus 1. Delightful system notifications flooded his vision. Experience rewards were incredibly generous. Experience was split 10 ways among party members, further modified by level-based experience penalties. Jiang Sun benefited most of all, naturally, since he was the lowest level. At times like this, he resented Guanlan. Why impose an experience, gain cap at all? Why not let it stack indefinitely with level? Or at least set the cap at 10,000% instead of a mere 200%. Meng Xinghe also climbed onto the wall, clutching several paper talismans. He waved them dramatically toward the battlements. "With my Taoist arts, talismans shall drive monsters back." He flung his hand forward. The talismans wobbled through the air and landed squarely on empty ground. Even with monsters packed shoulder to shoulder down below, he had somehow missed completely. Pulling that off was rarer than winning the grand lottery. Lu Jinghong cried out in shock. "Master, your talisman missed." "Nonsense. This is an angled talisman, meant to strike open ground on purpose, he insisted stubbornly. Jiang Sun kept planting life seals. For every monster slain, he gained a chance to steal attributes. Still, attribute points only dropped roughly once out of every dozens of kills. That said, he had plenty of people effectively working for him. Every combatant on the city wall was indirectly farming for him. Down below, Iron Ball fought in a frenzy. Within Salted Fish's domain, it hunted slowed foes, hammering away furiously. An onlooker might have thought it was busy reinforcing the city's foundations. For total waves of the beast tide rolled in. Each wave grew denser, yet all consisted of dire wolves around level 60, crushed by the 20 defenders. When the fourth wave retreated, pale dawn light streaked across the horizon. Everyone collapsed onto the wall. Bai Lu passed around water skins. Wu Tai sat cross-legged on stone, still craving more action. Is that all? I thought we would fight all night. Tai Ge, this is only our first night. Lu Jinghong flipped through his notebook. Look at these figures. 4 waves, 400 to 500 monsters. That is already a brutal assault. Ordinary professionals would need hundreds of people just to hold off one such wave. Jiang Sun leaned against the wall and checked his experience pool, inwardly elated. Overnight, his reserves had swelled enormously. Kills not dealt by their own party only granted him life seal points. Even so, experience gains here were 3 times higher than outside. Truly worthy of being an experience-rich secret realm. Universal experience points, 652,300 at this rate. Half a month inside this secret realm might net him well over 10 million universal experience points. He had never farmed experience so effortlessly. Star K had really uncovered an extraordinary secret realm. A grin spread across Jiang Sun's face. Meng Xing has skipped out on the post-battle debrief. He squatted beside piles of wolf corpses at the foot of the wall. Master, what are you doing? Jiang Sun asked. I am a bone gatherer, Meng Xing said gravely. Searching corpses is my duty. He even laid out rules for himself. 3 things I shall never disturb. Female remains, child remains, and then what on earth are you willing to search? Lu Jinghong stepped closer. Meng Xing hesitated for a long moment. Only, whatever is acceptable to search. Ignoring them, Meng Xing flipped through several direwolf carcasses. He actually found something. Several dull gray shards, heavy in his hand, looking almost like rock. What are these? Jiang Sun knelt down. Meng Xing turned them over and over. Suddenly his expression shifted. He pulled a tattered booklet out from underneath one wolf corpse. Its cover was nearly rotted away. Yellowed brittle pages curled at the edges. He opened it carefully. Pages filled with messy yet legible handwriting greeted them. Belonging to people who came before us. Jiang Sun squatted beside him. The booklet recorded patterns of the beast tide. Every night monsters would grow stronger, waves would intensify. Do not keep holding out. Complete the main quest and escape the secret realm early, or certain death awaited. Further on, handwriting turned increasingly frantic, as though the author had grown more and more terrified. Jiang Sun stared at those lines, cold dread creeping up his nape. Master, this booklet, Meng Xing has stuffed it inside his robe. I found it, therefore it is mine. That night, everyone split off to rest. Jiang Sun lay down on hard wooden planks, but could not fall asleep, tossing and turning. He tried to sense the giant eye hanging in the sky. During daytime, its gaze swept across every person. When it passed over him, it moved noticeably faster, almost overlooking him entirely. Nameless one, reducing the giant eye's attention. Just then, a splash echoed from the dry well by the city gate. Splash. Every hair on Jiang Sun's body stood on end. He held his breath and listened intently. The sound came once more. Then something seemed to laugh softly from deep within the well. Brief and faint, yet he heard it clearly. Jiang Sun closed his eyes. Iron Ball and Salted Fish rested beside him as he feigned rest. The next morning, Jiang Sun stood up with heavy dark circles under his eyes. Seeing him, Wu Tai laughed. Xiao Jiang, what happened? Guarding the wall didn't mean pulling 3 all-nighters. Didn't sleep well? Jiang Sun yawned. I've always been picky about beds. Picky about beds? Could it be you're wishing for someone to keep you company? Wu Tai's usual teasing shook Jiang Sun fully awake. Guan Shangyue began reviewing their situation. Their main quest required them to shut the giant eye. Yet they still had no idea where the eye truly was. Though entering the secret realm mainly meant farming experience, they could not leave until the main quest was finished. No one wanted to get trapped here by endless beast tides. Top priority was figuring out how to disable the eye. Once they knew that, they could choose to exit or keep grinding monsters. After group discussion, they settled on splitting into teams. Splitting up? Do you mean we leave our heads here defending the wall while our bodies go exploring? Jiang Sun's wild imagination kicked in as usual. Everyone fell speechless. Eventually Guan Shangyue finalized the day's assignments. Qin Yamian, take Lu Jinghong and Jiang Sun to investigate the dry well. Meng Xinghe goes too. As a bone gatherer, you might uncover clues down there. Meng Xinghe immediately tried to slip away. I am a fortune teller, not a grave robber. Climbing down wells brings bad omens. Master, bone gatherer is your role, Lu Jinghong said. Going down the well to search for relics fits perfectly. That is completely different. Gathering bones and descending wells are not the same thing. Keep complaining and you get no dinner tonight. Meng Xinghe fell silent. Duanmu Li and Shen Xingzi searched the outer wasteland for clues. Duanmu Li nodded without a word. The rest of you stay behind with me to hold the city wall and bell tower. Spirit Pivot Pavilion patrols continue as normal. After giving orders, Guan Shangyue glanced toward Jiang Sun. Be extremely careful investigating that dry well. It is the most eerie spot of all. Speak up if you are not up for it. I can take your place. We're good, Brother Guan. We'll scout it out and pull back immediately if danger arises. Jiang Sun thought to himself that their leader genuinely cared for them. The dry well stood near the city gate, not far from their lodging. In daylight, it looked utterly ordinary. Its opening was lined with bluestone blocks. Years of weather left cracks crammed full of pitch-black moss. Peering inside revealed pitch-black darkness, like a gaping mouth. Drawing near filled people with an unaccountable sense of dread, as though something was watching them. Qin Yamian stood beside the well, her face calm, yet Jiang Sun noticed her white-knuckled grip on her staff. I stood here listening all afternoon yesterday, Qin Yamian said. Rhythmic sounds, like breathing or snoring. Today we go down and look. Lu Jinghong pulled rope, candles, and a fire starter from his backpack. Full tomb exploration kit, he grinned. If the candle blows out, we run back up. That's the rule. This is a dry well, not a tomb, Qin Yamian said coolly. Better safe than sorry. Lu Jinghong prepared to fasten the rope. Qin Yamian pushed him aside. She walked to the well edge and summoned frost power. A thin layer of ice crept down the inner wall, forming icy footholds like stone steps. Jiang Sun stared in amazement. Good grief, an ice mage could pull off tricks like this. She ought to win an ice sculpting award. Meng Xinghe climbed down second, muttering prayers under his breath. I am doing this of my own free will, of my own free will. Master, I thought you refused to go down. Lu Jinghong called from above. I suddenly realized a bone gatherer who avoids wells defies heaven's will. Jiang Sun descended third. Lu Jinghong came last, candle clamped between his teeth, climbing down while holding the flame steady. The well was not deep. They reached the bottom after some 10-odd meters. The well base was dry, hard compacted earth crunching underfoot. Qin Yamian dispersed her frost magic. Only Lu Jinghong's candle lit the space, casting dim shadows. Jiang Sun took Iron Ball off his shoulder, pulled out a rag, and began wiping it vigorously. Creak, creak. Soon it shone bright, like a large light bulb. Iron Ball protested loudly in his hands. Idiot. You don't need to polish me. My head can glow on its own. The rest of the group fell deadpan. The well bottom was more spacious than expected, like a small underground chamber. Look over here. Qin Yamian's tone suddenly shifted. Jiang Sun followed her gaze. On the well wall ran 3 claw marks, stretching all the way from the top to the bottom. Each was as long as a forearm, deep enough to fit a finger inside. It looked as though something had raked its claws across the stone. Beneath the claw marks, a large mural covered the lower section of the well wall. The painting was crude, yet its meaning could still be made out. At the top of the image loomed a gigantic eye. Below it knelt a row of tiny human figures, holding offerings in their hands as if performing a sacrifice. Are they worshipping it? Lu Jinghong leaned in for a closer look. Are the common folk of this abandoned city worshipping that eye in the sky? Jiang Sun said nothing. A thought crossed his mind. Had the people who once lived here been making active offerings to it all along? And where had all those worshippers gone afterwards? Lu Jinghong bent over the mural and began counting the kneeling figures with his finger. 1, 2, 3, 19, 20. 20? Qin Yamian frowned. Why are you counting them? There are 20 little figures kneeling in the painting. Lu Jinghong's voice turned faint. There are exactly 20 of us who entered this secret realm. Silence fell in the well for 2 heartbeats. It has to be a coincidence, Meng Xinghe said stiffly. Sure, let's hope it is. Lu Jinghong held his candle higher. It is just far too coincidental. A mural from 1,000 years ago showing 20 kneeling people. And now, 20 people had stepped into this place. Jiang Sun forced himself not to follow that line of thought any further. Over here. Meng Xinghe squatted in a corner, his voice trembling. Come look at this. On the ground in the corner lay a short candle stub. Only a fragment remained, its wax pooled and solidified. Lu Jinghong glanced at the candle in his own hand, then back down at the stub on the ground. Did someone else have the same idea as me? This one is very old, Qin Yumian observed. It has been here for a long time. Ancient candle wax? But this secret realm had only been discovered a few months ago. 2 groups of explorers had come before them. Could this be their leftover gear? Yet the timeline simply did not add up. Unless time flowed at different speeds inside and outside this place. Crouched in the corner, Meng Xinghe scraped at the muddy earth by the light cast by his ice crystal. And he unearthed something. A rusted short dagger, its blade nicked along the edge, the cloth wrapped around its handle rotted to shreds. Beside it lay a water skin, its leather hardened with age. It cracked the moment it was touched. Equipment used by awakened professionals. Meng Xinghe turned the dagger over in his hands. Lu Jinghong took it and hefted its weight. It should belong to the same group that left the candle. They climbed down this well and stayed down here for some time. What happened to them afterwards? Qin Yumian asked. No one replied. In the bottom of the well, the silence was so complete they could hear each other's heartbeats. Jiang Sun thought to himself, back in my past life, this atmosphere would definitely be paired with horror movie background music. There is a passage over here, Jiang Sun called out. He had felt along the well wall and found a crack to the right of the mural. He pushed hard, and a stone slab slid sideways. Shoving it fully aside revealed a horizontal tunnel. The passage was narrow, only tall enough for a person to move through hunched over. Darkness pooled within it, and a gust of wind billowed out, carrying an indescribable stench. There is airflow, Qin Yumian frowned. This passage connects to somewhere else. Where does it lead? Lu Jinghong asked. No way to know until we go inside. The 4 stood at the tunnel entrance, none of them moving. Maybe send Iron Ball to scout ahead? Jiang Sun pondered. Jiang Sun. Qin Yumian called his name. Nothing. Jiang Sun snapped back to attention. I was wondering where this tunnel leads. We will find out when we reach the end. Lu Jinghong lifted his candle high. My candle is still burning. Let's go explore. He stepped forward, but the moment he neared the tunnel mouth, the candle flame flickered wildly in the gust of wind. Lu Jinghong cupped his hands around the flame in alarm. Don't go out, don't go out. The flame steadied. He spun around and saw Meng Xinghe squatting right behind him, cheeks puffed, huffing and puffing for breath. Master, what on earth are you doing? Lu Jinghong snapped. I'm nervous. Meng Xinghe gasped. When I get nervous, I just have to breathe heavily. You are practically blowing out my candle. Do you realize that? I cannot help it. I cannot control it. Jiang Sun mentally sighed. He had thought some terrifying monster was upon them, but it was only the Taoist master hyperventilating. Just as they prepared to venture deeper, the bottom of the well shuddered. The tremor was faint, as if something huge had rolled over deep beneath the ground. All 4 froze in place. Qin Yumian's face paled. Her lips trembled. Did you all feel that? We felt it. It came from underground. But that vibration feels like it is coming from something living. Lu Jinghong's voice shook. It is the throb of a heartbeat, Qin Yumian said. This well shaft itself feels alive. Goosebumps erupted all across Jiang Sun's back. His gaze darted back toward the mural. That painted eye was only stone and pigment. Yet for a split second, he could have sworn it had moved. Do we keep going? Lu Jinghong asked. Let us call it a day. Qin Yumian gritted her teeth. We still have plenty of time. We climb back up and resume tomorrow. By the time they hauled themselves up the rope, the sun hung high in the sky. Wu Tai squatted beside the well waiting for them. Grinning as each of them clambered out, he spoke. So, is there a giant monster living at the bottom? Something far more uncanny than a monster. Lu Jinghong stowed away the old candle stub. There is a tunnel down there, leading to God knows where. Wu Tai's eyes lit up. A tunnel. Tomorrow I'm going down. I'll lead the way for all of you. You? Guan Shangyue walked over and sized him up and down. You are far too broad-shouldered. You could not even fit through the well opening. Then I will slim myself down. After hearing Qin Yumian's full report, Guan Shangyue knitted his brows. Mural down the well, relics left by past visitors, a horizontal passage, and that heartbeat-like tremor. He thought for a moment. We go back and investigate further. I want to see exactly where that passage leads. Jiang Sun had originally intended to send Iron Ball scouting into the tunnel, but that eerie underground heartbeat had interrupted the plan. Some other time. Summoned constructs had lives too, and he hated to risk Iron Ball unnecessarily. Without further delay, they had not spent long underground. Night was still far off. Guan Shangyue made the decision immediately. 5 of them would head back down for a second round of exploration. Midday had arrived. The pupil of the colossal eye hanging in the sky had turned an inky, bottomless black. But as soon as the group stepped outside the city walls, something strange unfolded. First, the world fell dead quiet. Even the wind died away. Then it felt as though gravity had ceased to exist. Well, not exactly. The awakened professionals felt no difference at all. But the corpses of the monsters slain the previous day began to drift upward, floating off the ground. They rose faster and faster. Pools of blood, severed limbs, shards of flesh and bone all defied gravity and lifted toward the sky. Higher and higher they soared. "It is the giant eye," Jiang Sun shouted in disbelief. "All this flesh and debris is being drawn toward it." Before long, every last scrap of corpse was sucked into its black pupil. Only then did sound return to the world, and the wind resumed its howling. Everyone stared in stunned silence. Now they understood why earlier explorers had warned them never to disturb monster remains. Those bodies belonged to the giant eye. Meng Xinghe, the bone gatherer, was the only exception among them. He alone could safely handle dead remains. It took the group quite a while to recover from the shocking sight. Jiang Sun stole glances upward at the colossal eye. He could not be certain whether it was his imagination, but after absorbing all that flesh, some of the red cracks across its scara seemed to have faded. Shaking off their awe, they headed back toward the dry well. Guan Shangyue, Qin Yumian, Lu Jinghong, Jiang Sun, and the reluctant Meng Xinghe made up the party. Wu Tai squatted beside the wellhead watching them go. "Are you really not taking me along?" "You are too large," Guan Shangyue replied without turning his head. "You cannot fit through that tunnel. Then I will stop eating for a few days and lose weight. If you waste away, who will tank damage against the city-scale monsters?" Wu Tai fell speechless. The tunnel proved even shorter in height than expected. Guan Shangyue, a towering 2-meter-tall man, led the way. He hunched so far forward, he was practically bent double. His hands nearly scraped against the ground, and his head kept knocking against overhead stones. He was almost forced to crawl on all fours. Trailing behind, Lu Jinghong snickered. "Brother Guan, are you practicing frog-style martial arts down here?" Guan Shangyue said nothing, plodding forward in that awkward hunched posture. Jiang Sun walked in the middle of the group. He summoned Iron Ball, who floated ahead to scout at the very front. The iron construct glowed with soft, warm light, acting like a mobile lamp that lit the tunnel brightly. "Master, is this brightness good enough?" "Sure. Far brighter than your usual brain capacity. I feel like you are insulting me, but I cannot prove it." The tunnel floor was hard, compacted mud that crunched underfoot. They had not traveled far when Jiang Sun spotted footprints pressed into the ground. A single trail of prints, deep and shallow, stretching deep into the tunnel. The foot size matched that of an ordinary human being, but the edges were worn and blurred, left countless ages ago. Left by people who came before us. Qin Yumian knelt for a closer look. "These are definitely not recent prints. Where did those people end up going?" Lu Jinghong wondered aloud. Nobody answered. Scratch marks also marred the tunnel walls. Several parallel thin gashes ran from stone down to the dirt floor, as if something had dragged sharp claws along the surface. Jiang Sun reached out and brushed his fingertips over the grooves. The raised ridges felt icy cold beneath his skin. He pulled his hand back and kept silent. Further back in the line, Meng Xinghe huffed and puffed heavily. Lu Jinghong glanced over his shoulder. "Master, do not blow out my candle again." "I am not blowing it." Meng Xinghe protested. "This is deep breathing to calm my nerves." "What are you so nervous about?" Guan Shangyue and Iron Ball are right up ahead. "I am a scholar. It is only natural for scholars to grow anxious in dark places." The deeper they went, the stronger the strange odor grew in the air. It smelled of rust mixed with the stench of long-decayed things. Suddenly, Lu Jinghong's candle flame tilted sharply to one side. "Wind," he whispered. "We are nearly at the end." Sure enough, a dozen more steps brought them to the terminus of the passage. A stone door blocked the way. Wind whistled through its narrow crack. The door appeared modest-sized, yet it fit so tightly it would not budge an inch when pushed by bare hands. Guan Shangyue gave it a shove and frowned. "It will not move." Meng Xinghe stepped forward, stroking an imaginary beard with a solemn air. "I have done my divination. This door has a will of its own. Brute force would offend it. We need subtlety." He stuck 2 fingers into the gap and flicked. The stone door remained completely still. He flicked it once more. Nothing changed. Lu Jinghong could not stand watching any longer. Where is that so-called subtlety? Subtlety depends on timing. The time has not yet come. "Iron Ball, go," Jiang Sun ordered. Iron Ball's eyes lit up. "Leave it to me." It stepped backward, then charged head first into the stone door. There was a thunderous crash. The door held firm, and Iron Ball rebounded, rolling across the dirt ground. One more time. It rammed the door a second time. Still no result. I refused to believe this. Growing frustrated, Iron Ball swelled until it stood as tall as a human. It slammed its heavy head against the stone twice in quick succession. Crack. A fissure split the stone door. Then the whole slab toppled sideways and crashed down. A thick cloud of dust billowed toward them. Once the dust settled, the five stood in the doorway, staring at the sight beyond, none of them speaking for a moment. Behind the door lay a huge underground chamber. It was a vast open subterranean space. The room was mostly empty. At its very center stood an enormous bell. It sat upside down, mouth pressed flat to the ground like a small hill. Its surface was coated in thick rust, its original color long lost. Only densely packed carvings remained faintly visible across its metal. Patterns coiled in circles, carved by some sharp, tipped tool. They glinted dully in Iron Ball's glow. Is that a bell? Lu Jinghong drew near. There is already a bell up in the bell tower. Why is there another one down here? The one upstairs is intact. Guan Shangyue knelt and ran a hand across the bell's surface. He remained quiet for a long moment. He circled the entire structure, then rapped his knuckles against its metal side. It gave no ring, only a dull muffled thud, as if something blocked its interior. How long has this bell been sitting upside down here? Qin Yimian asked. Who can say? Guan Shanyue's voice was heavy. I examined the bell, tower bell earlier. It is old, but nowhere near as ancient as this one. A newer casting? The bell hanging in the tower was forged much later, only a few decades ago, and bears no carvings at all. Guan Shanyue pointed to the upside-down bell. This is the genuine, ancient artifact. Lu Jinghong held up his candle, illuminating the patterns across the metal. The carvings flickered in candlelight, as if alive. He spoke softly. These patterns, they match the style of the giant eye from the well mural. No one replied. Qin Yimian glanced over, but said nothing. Jiang Sun stood toward the rear, gazing at the inverted bell. He could not shake the feeling it was covering something up. What was being trapped beneath its weight? Guan Shanhue straightened up. We retreat for today. Tomorrow at daylight we will bring Bai Lu and the others to properly investigate this bell. Should we not wait and examine it tonight? Lu Jinghong asked. We have to man the city defenses after dark, Guan Shanhue reminded him. We have no idea how fierce the second wave of monster attacks will be. They retraced their path and climbed out of the well. The sun hung low in the western sky by the time they emerged. Duanmu Li and Shun Xingzi had already returned. They squatted in the courtyard with several stones laid out before them. Jiang Sun leaned over to look. The stones were round, off, white, and translucent. The largest was thumbnail-sized, the smallest no bigger than a grain of rice. What are these? Jiang Sun asked. We dug them up out of the wastelands, Duanmu Li explained. They were half buried in ash, barely sticking out. She lifted one and held it up to the light. There is a red thread running inside, exactly like the cracks across the scara of that giant eye in the sky. Looks like tears, Shin Xingzi said suddenly. Dried up tears. Duanmu Li stayed silent and set the stone back down. A chill ran down Jiang Sun's spine. Tears. He had only heard tales of mermaid tears hardening into gemstones. Could mermaids exist in this place? Or was that giant eye in the sky capable of weeping? Jiang Sun picked up one of the tear stones and held it to the light. That fine red filament twisted and curled inside, resembling a frozen blood vessel. The stone felt strangely hot against his palm. He quickly set it back down. We only found 3 after searching the whole afternoon, Duanmu Li said. They are extremely rare out on the ground. Shin Xingzi added. We also spotted that shadowy figure seen within the white gales. The figure in the white wind? Jiang Sun's heart tightened. He remembered glimpsing that vague shape drifting in the gales the very day they first arrived in this secret realm. We chased it for a distance until we reached a burnt-out campsite. The trail of footprints ended right there. Shin Xingzi said. The camp had burned ages ago. Nothing but ash remains. What became of the figure? Vanished. Duanmu Li shrugged. Just like the footprints, it disappeared out of thin air. Guan Shanhue walked over, picked up one stone, and studied it intently. Store these safely. Once we escape this realm, we can have the Ling Shu Pavilion examine them. These might be valuable enough to trade for supplies. They are listed as samples the Ling Shu Pavilion is seeking, Duanmu Li told him. Then we must keep them well guarded. Come, let us head for the city wall and prepare for tonight's defense. That night, before the second monster horde struck, Qin Yimian returned to the well edge once more. She stood beside the opening and listened. Rhythmic sounds drifted up from deep below, like slow breathing or heavy snoring. After a time the noise ceased. Then a faint call echoed up out of the depths. A voice, indistinct in pitch, neither clearly male nor female, called out again and again. Come down. The sound was hazy and distant, yet it stirred an irrational urge to peer down into the dark well. Qin Yumian gripped her staff tightly and said nothing. She stepped slowly backward. She recalled what had happened earlier that day, and cold dread crawled over her skin. A Ling, Shu Pavilion sentry had wandered past the well and casually leaned over to glance inside. At that exact moment, the haunting call had rung out from below. Compelled, the sentry had answered without thinking. Who is down there? The instant those words left his mouth, the giant eye in the sky flew wide open. Its pupil contracted minutely. A murky gray beam shot down from the heavens, enveloping the sentry. He never even had time to scream. His body was dragged upward, shrinking smaller and smaller until it vanished within the red, veined sclera of the eye. Everyone present had witnessed it. Terrified, no one dared answer any voice rising from the well ever again. Qin Yumian stepped further back. She resolved that whenever she stood near this well, she would pretend to be completely mute. No matter what voice called out from below, she would give no reply. Better to keep silent than lose her life. At noon, dozens of corpses floated into the air at the same time. Flesh and bone shards seemed to be pulled upward by some unseen force, all flying straight into the pupil of the giant eye hanging in the sky. Impressive as the sight was, there were plenty of sharp-minded people in the party. Guan Shangyue laid it out plainly. From what we're seeing, when we kill monsters, this thing absorbs their corpses, blood, and energy. After that, the red streaks on its sclera fade. That means while we're killing monsters to earn experience points, we're also chipping away at our main quest objective. 2 benefits from one action. The only unknown is, what happens once every last blood streak on its eye vanishes? Will it close its eye? If it does, our main quest will be complete. Wu Tai slapped his thigh. That'd be fantastic. We get triple experience plus quest rewards for fighting monsters. This secret realm is pretty generous. Lu Jinghong said nothing. He squatted down by the city wall, craning his neck upward. Holding a booklet up to shield his eyes so he would not make direct eye contact with the pupil, he began counting. 1, 2, 3. Halfway through, his eyes grew sore and he blinked. When he opened them again, damn it, where was I? Now I've lost my count. Jiang Sun wandered over. Why are you counting that? Record keeper. I record everything. Lu Jinghong did not turn his head. 137 red streaks. I've written that down. Tomorrow I'll count them again and compare the numbers. Then we'll know how much it heals in one day. Jiang Sun gave him a thumbs up. Professional. Damn right. Once I sort through this data, I can hand it over to the Spirit Pivot Pavilion after we leave the secret realm. Might even earn some points. Future professionals who challenge this place will be able to use my notes as reference. Honestly, the previous 2 groups of explorers had been far too incompetent. How had none of them brought back this kind of information? If we'd had it, we could have saved ourselves so much trouble. Lu Jinghong could turn counting blood streaks into an opportunity for gain. He really was something else. Night fell, and the second wave of beast hordes arrived right on schedule. These wolves were different. They were still gray, furred rending wolves, but noticeably larger than those from the first night. The ground trembled beneath their charging paws. Nocturnal Rending Wolf, normal LV .70 HP, 70100 attack, 6140 defense, 1962 skill. Night Ambush Bite 70, level wolves? Wu Tai's eyes lit up. Perfect. I've been itching to test myself against them. He hefted his axe and prepared to leap down from the wall. Before he could jump, however, a rending wolf bounded onto the battlement, bit down hard on his axe handle, and flung both man and axe through the air. Wu Tai traced an arc across the sky before crashing at the base of the wall, slamming into the earth and leaving a human-shaped crater. Tai Ge, Lu Jinghong shouted from atop the wall. Spoke too soon, didn't you? Huh. Wu Tai clambered out of the pit and spat out a mouthful of dirt. These 70 level wolves hit hard. The first and second waves were both made up of level 70 rending wolves, far deadlier than the horde from the previous night. But the party had grown well, coordinated from fighting together. Gu Changfeng swept his sword, cutting down a whole row of foes. Shen Xingxi's blade flashed repeatedly. Duanmu Li's young dragon breathed a wave of fire, burning through swathes of enemies. Salted Fish unfolded his withering domain. An iron ball waded into the carnage below the wall. The wolves beneath the rampart visibly slowed. Qin Yumian stood on the wall and unleashed a sheet of bitter frost. Stacked with Salted Fish's slow effect, it ground the wolves' charge to a halt right at the foot of the wall. Then came wave after wave of ice-based attacks, hail barges, volleys of ice arrows, pummeling the monsters non-stop. Jiang Sun stayed safely on the wall as usual, planting fate seals, tapping one finger for each target. All 10 of his fingers flicked rapidly. 1 wolf, 2 wolves, 3, 4, 5 wolves, 6 wolves, 7, 8. Lu Jinghong knocked arrows while jotting down notes. Every time I watch Jiang Sun's odd gestures, I can't help but marvel. Jiang Sun could not explain what he was doing to the others. Fate seals were a unique feature of his SSS ranked class. He needed to keep this trump card hidden. When the third wave arrived, a massive beast appeared among the pack. An elite rending wolf, 3 times the size of ordinary specimens. Dark swirling patterns marked its gray, white pelt, and the ground shook with every heavy step it took. Nocturnal Rending Wolf, Elite LV.70 HP, 245-350 attack, 21490 defense, 6867 skill, Rending Claw Sweep, Berserk Charge. An Elite. Lu Jinghong's voice rose in alarm. Level, 70 Elite, 240, 5000 hit points. Tough brute. Wu Tai licked his lips. I want to crack at it even more now. This time he was smarter and did not jump down. Instead, he picked up a large stone and hurled it downward. The rock bounced harmlessly off the elite wolf's skull. The elite lifted its head and glanced up at him, its gaze as though regarding an idiot. Don't even try that, Tai Go. Lu Jinghong yelled. Your stone is nothing more than a tickle to it. I refuse to believe this. Iron Ball, go. Jiang Sun patted his companion. That big one is yours. Take it easy. Iron Ball let out a roar and threw himself down, slamming his huge head straight into the elite wolf. Boom. Iron Ball was sent flying, tumbling across the ground several times. When he got back to his feet, he looked dazed and dizzy from the impact. That collision had hit far harder than expected. Master, Iron Ball shouted from below. This thing is stronger than me. Jiang Sun's heart sank. Even Iron Ball could not stagger this level, 70 elite, with a full force charge. No fighting it one-on-one. Guan Shangyue said grimly. Focus all our fire. Gu Changfeng struck with his sword, carving a gushing gash across the elite's body. Shin Xingzi followed up with 2 more slashes. Duanmu Li's young dragon exhaled dragon breath onto its back, searing flesh with a sizzling sound. Salted Fish shifted his domain to lie beneath the elite's feet, and Qin Emian's frost locked onto it. The monster's movements noticeably slowed. Now, hit it with everything we've got. 20 people concentrated their attacks. After grinding away at it for roughly the time it takes to burn 1 stick of incense, the elite wolf finally collapsed with a thunderous crash, sending clouds of dust billowing outward. Phew, Wu Tai slumped onto the wall. That thing was harder to deal with than all of last night's horde combined. And this is only our second night. Lu Jinghong glanced upward at the giant eye in the sky. How many more nights are still ahead of us? Jiang Sun said nothing. He checked his experience pool. After the second night, the pool had swelled enormously, even more than after the first night. Each level, 70 Wolf granted thousands of experience points. Stacked with his bonus from the large level gap, this secret realm was practically paradise for grinding levels. Too bad they could not stay here farming monsters every day. There was one major problem. No matter how fast the experience pool filled, it could never keep up with the enormous cost to raise his summons to epic rank. 3 million experience points for Iron Ball to reach epic. 3 million for Salted Fish as well. His current reserves were not even enough for just one of them. What was more, Jiang Sun hated wasting experience points like this. He wanted to leave this secret realm, return to his own first Sprout Root secret realm, and level them up there instead. That place offered experience cost discounts, making it far more efficient than burning points here directly. Unfortunately, he could not access his personal secret realm from inside this one. He had tried the moment he arrived. He could not teleport himself inside, nor could he send items out. It seemed to be an inherent rule of this place. Well, there was nothing to do but take it slow. No use rushing. He looked up toward the giant eye in the sky. The red streaks across its scaro were dense, almost seeming more numerous than they had been the day before. No, it must just be his imagination. The next noon, the corpse absorption phenomenon returned as scheduled. The giant eye's pupil turned pitch black. The world fell silent, gravity waned, corpses floated upward, and flesh soared toward the heavens. The spectacle was just as magnificent as the day before. Yet Jiang Sun spotted something wrong. Most of the bodies lifted off the ground and drifted toward the giant eye. But several corpses lying near the base of the wall did not move at all. Why aren't those ones floating? Jiang Sun pointed. The others followed his gaze and stared in confusion. Meng Xinghe hurried over for a look, and his expression froze. Those unmoving corpses were exactly the ones he had rummaged through the previous day. Lu Jinghong was the first to understand. Master, it rejects corpses you have touched. What? Meng Xinghe gaped. I was merely searching for clues. Lu Jinghong shook his head. Looks like it considers them tainted because you handled them. Injustice. I only flipped them over briefly, hoping to find loot. Then why won't it absorb them? Meng Xinghe had no retort. Jiang Sun stared at those abandoned bodies, and a chill ran through him. Every rule within this secret realm existed for a reason. Bone gatherers held the privilege of searching corpses. Yet corpses once searched became unacceptable to the giant eye. Was that privilege truly granted by the entity, or was it a trap it had laid? Lu Jinghong counted the red streaks once more. When he finished, his face darkened. They've decreased, but only slightly. He closed his booklet. 130, 7 yesterday, 130, 3 today. Hundreds of corpses last night. All absorbed except for the few Meng Xinghe touched. And only 4 streaks faded away. 4 is still progress. At this rate, they'll all disappear in a few days, Wu Tai said. It won't work out that way. Lu Jinghong shook his head. New fissures opened up overnight. The streaks will likely grow back tomorrow. The rate of absorption cannot keep pace with their reappearance. Silence fell across the wall. So, Wu Tai scratched his head. Even if we fight here for half a month, it still won't heal? Unless we find a way to speed up its absorption process, Guan Shangyue stated. A heavy feeling settled in Jiang Sun's chest. He lifted his eyes toward the giant eye above. It seemed even redder than it had been the day before. After surviving the second night siege, everyone collapsed atop the city wall, exhausted. Jiang Sun leaned against a crenellation and glanced out toward the wastelands. Amid the gray, tinged wind, that distant figure appeared once again. This time it did not vanish. It simply stood far off, motionless, as though observing the city. Jiang Sun stared at that silhouette for a long time, cold dread crawling up his spine. After the party recovered from the brutal beast horde, they rose early the next day. Guan Shangyue called several key members together to plan their day. Their main focus was the great bell they had discovered underground the previous day. Yesterday we crawled through the dry well passage. It was pitch black, and we only paid attention to the bell itself, Guan Shangyue said. That bell is extremely ancient. Judging by its patterns, it is connected to the giant eye in the sky. The chamber holding it must hold great significance. What kind of significance? Wu Tai scratched his head. Ancient bells are rarely moved from their original locations. Lu Jinghong flipped open his booklet. I mapped out the city layout when we first entered. The position of that underground cellar. He paused and gestured in the air, calculating distances. Interesting. The tunnel from the dry well leads precisely to where the bell tower stands. The same location? Meaning the underground cellar we explored is almost certainly directly beneath the bell tower. How can you be so sure? I counted my steps entering the city. The distance from the city gate to the bell tower matches the distance from the gate to our dry well entrance, Lu Jinghong explained. The bell tower sits northeast of the city center, and so does our cellar entrance. That cannot be mere coincidence. Then let's head for the bell tower today. Guan Shangyue stood. If the cellar really lies underneath it, there might be an entrance down inside the tower itself. Let's go. Wu Tai cracked his knuckles. I want to see that bell up close. Guan Shangyue looked him up and down. And what exactly do you plan to contribute? I'm strong. I can carry heavy things. Wu Tai puffed out his chest confidently. You all said you couldn't shift that bell. I'll go and help lift it. Very well. You can come along, Guan Shangyue conceded after a moment's thought. The group climbed up into the bell tower. It was not tall, only 3 stories high. A bell hung at the top level. This bell looked comparatively new. It lacked weathering, its surface smooth and unadorned by carvings. Compared to the old bell underground, this one feels like a fake, Qin Yimian remarked. Why would they hang a new bell up here? Wu Tai wondered. Who knows? Lu Jinghong circled the tower. Perhaps they wanted it to look like a proper bell tower. Or maybe someone intended to hide something. Wu Tai wandered across the second floor, stamping his foot repeatedly. He suddenly halted and stamped again. Thud, thud. He stamped once more. This floor sounds hollow underneath. Hollow. Lu Jinghong stepped over and stamped as well. You're right. The echo is wrong. This tower is built from stone. Its flooring ought to be solid stone slabs. Solid stone would produce a dull, muted thud, Qin Yimian said. This resonance strongly suggests a hollow space below. So the cellar really is right beneath us? Wu Tai's eyes lit up. Let's find the entrance, Guan Shangyue ordered. They searched the second story. Near one wall lay a floor slab slightly darker in color than its neighbors. They pried it loose and found a narrow, steep stone staircase leading downward, thick with undisturbed dust from ages of disuse. Found it. Guan Shangyue went first. Stay close, and watch your step. At the bottom of the stairs stood a wooden door. When they pushed it open, they stood within the vast underground chamber they had visited before. The enormous inverted bell still rested heavily upon the ground. We really are beneath the bell tower. Wu Tai exclaimed happily. Great counting of paces, Lu Ge. Professional habit. Lu Jinghong closed his booklet. Was the bell tower built later? Jiang Sun asked. The upper bell is new, the underground one ancient. Why construct it like this? The bell above was probably meant for outsiders to see. Qin Yimian reasoned. The one down here is the genuine article. With more people present, they could examine the site far more thoroughly. Lu Jinghong knelt beside the bell, copying its carved patterns into his booklet. Halfway through tracing them, he frowned. These markings, they don't look like pictures, yet they aren't ordinary written characters either. They form a kind of musical score. Qin Yimian spoke up suddenly. What? A musical score? Qin Yimian pointed to connected sequences of grooves on the bell's surface. See these rising and falling broken lines. They match musical notation. Meng Xinghe leaned forward, stroking his beard as he studied them. I have some knowledge of music. This is indeed a score. It is a melody meant to soothe the soul. A lullaby of sorts? Jiang Sun thought. That description fit perfectly. Why carve a soul, calming melody onto a bell? It all makes sense now. Lu Jinghong shut his booklet. The murals in the dry well showed the original inhabitants offering sacrifices. Sacrifices would involve ringing bells. This bell bears notation for a soul, soothing tune, meant to be played during rituals by striking it. So this bell was used to calm whatever being they worshipped? Most likely, Lu Jinghong affirmed. Then what if we ring it too? Wu Tai rubbed his hands together eagerly. If our reasoning holds, the locals worshipped the giant eye in the sky. Playing this soothing melody might make its red streaks fade far faster. Can you even ring it? Lu Jinghong gestured toward the upside down bell. It's lying flat on the ground. You cannot strike it like this. Then we flip it over. Do you have the strength for that? Unconvinced, Wu Tai rolled up his sleeves and heaved against the bell. His face turned bright red from exertion, yet the bell did not shift 1 millimeter. Someone give me a hand. Lu Jinghong stepped in to help push. Still no movement. Jiang Sun summoned Iron Ball. The golem rammed his shoulder against the bell, yet it did not even wobble. This thing is impossibly heavy. Iron Ball complained. How about I smash it with a headbutt instead? Jiang Sun quickly grabbed Iron Ball and held him back, fearful the simple-minded golem would unleash his devastating charge. This bell might as well be fused into the ground. Wu Tai gasped for breath. Enough. Stop wasting effort trying to lift it, Guan Shangyue ordered. He stood before the bell and observed it for a long time. Then he reached out and placed his palm flat against its surface. Instantly, the carved patterns lit up, igniting from within, before dimming slowly once more. A deep, resonant hum echoed out from inside the bell. The tone was extremely low, yet it shook the entire underground chamber. Everyone froze in place. Guan Shangyue himself looked stunned. He stared at his own hand, then back toward the bell. It feels as though this bell recognizes me. It does not resist my touch. Recognizes you? Lu Jinghong's eyes went wide. I do not know. Guan Shangyue fell quiet for a moment. But it bears no hostility toward me. The bell, keeper, Jiang Sun said abruptly. Guan Ge, your assigned identity is bell keeper. Silence descended over the cellar. Of course, when they first arrived, the illusory gate had assigned 10 party members 10 special identities. Wu Tai was city guard, Qin Yimian was watcher, and Guan Shangyue was bell keeper. At the time, everyone had assumed the assignments were random. But now it seemed every single identity had a specific purpose. Silence lingered. Look, Bai Lu pointed toward the bell's rim. Something is trapped underneath its edge. They crowded closer. Beneath the lip of the bell a stone slab was partially exposed, blackened with great age. Shall we pry it open? Wu Tai suggested. Can you move that slab? Lu Jinghong asked. Fair point. Lu Jinghong mentally reviewed every clue they had uncovered, and excitement dawned on him. I understand now. He slapped his thigh. This bell was meant to pacify the giant eye above us. When we slay monsters, the eye absorbs corpses and its streaks recede. But absorption alone is slow. We need to accompany it with this bell's soul, calming melody to speed up the healing. Meaning ringing the bell would be like getting boosted progress. Wu Tai's eyes sparkled. Something close to that. Then why are we waiting? Ring it. Ring what? Lu Jinghong pointed at the inverted bell. It's upside down. We cannot strike it. We cannot lift or flip it either. Then what can we do? That stone slab wedged under the bell. Guan Shangyue knelt and stared at the exposed black stone. It may hold the secret to sounding it. Guan Shangyue crouched down, hooked his fingers under the edge of the slab, and pulled. It was heavier than expected, yet not immovable. With a grunt of effort, he flipped it open with a sharp cracking sound. Beneath the slab lay an iron bell clapper, forged of black iron, as thick as a grown man's arm. One end was wrapped in rotted cloth. The striking end was worn smooth from centuries of use. Guan Shangyue pulled it free. The bell resonated once more, its hum clearer this time, answering the clapper's release. The bell was complete, save for one thing. Guan Shangyue gripped the heavy clapper, his voice low. It was missing its hammer. The group gathered around the ancient iron clapper, studying it. It was far weightier than it appeared. Who left this here? Wu Tai questioned. Who can say? Lu Jinghong replied. Perhaps the original inhabitants of this city. They had hidden the clapper beneath the bell. Had they intended for someone to ring it? Or had they meant to seal it away forever? Jiang Sun kept silent. He watched the clapper in Guan Shanyue's hands, certain that striking the bell would trigger something enormous. On their way back toward the city walls, Wu Tai could not stop thinking about the clapper. Now that we have the hammer, when do we ring the bell? During noon, when the giant eye absorbs the corpses, Lu Jinghong answered. We will try playing the soothing melody carved onto the bell and see whether the red streaks recede any faster. Guan Shanyue tucked the heavy iron clapper into his waist sash. Surprisingly, the massive implement suited his imposing frame. Wu Tai wore a solemn expression. Ringing the bell is a critical event. Should we test it out in the open first? Guan Shanyue, have you managed to learn the soothing melody carved on the bell yet? Meng Xinghe stroked his beard and did a quick mental calculation. Divination tells me you have not yet mastered it. That duty shall fall to me, Meng Xinghe declared. I am the only one here versed in musical theory. Come, Guan Shanyue, we must practice quickly. Noon, when the giant eye absorbs corpses, will arrive soon. Iron Ball hopped about on Jiang Sun's shoulder. Master, I want to hit it too. Can I learn the melody? Jiang Sun pressed a hand down firmly on top of his head. With your brain? Don't go causing trouble. But for some reason, I really want to bash that big bell. It looks sturdy and fun to hit. That's just your urge to smash things acting up. Be good. Tonight you will get to fight as many monsters as you want. Before noon arrived, Lu Jinghong spread out his paper rubbings of the bell's carvings across the ground. Meng Xinghe placed an upturned basin on the stone floor and tapped rhythms against it, teaching Guan Shanyue the tune. Guan Shanyue squatted beside him, practicing intently. Before long, he had learned the melody. Tisk, old Guan picks this up really fast. Could he actually have a gift for music? Guan Shanyue scratched his head. I don't know anything about musical scores. But when I touched that bell today, some melody seemed to surface in my mind, all vague. When I tried playing just now, it all came together, like I'd known it all along. TSK. Tisk. I've heard of imparting cultivation or martial arts skills, but you? You got a whole tune downloaded into your head, Lu Jinghong said. We're counting on you, old Guan. Got it. When noon arrived, the pupil of the giant eye hanging in the sky slowly turned pitch black. The world fell quiet. Down by the city wall, the corpses from the previous day began to float up one by one. Blood, severed limbs and fragments of flesh all soared toward the heavens. Down in the cellar, Guan Shanyue gripped the bell hammer and stood before the upside-down great bell. Wu Tai frowned in doubt. It's flipped over. Can it even ring? Guan Shanyue said nothing. He raised his hand, and the hammer struck the bell's surface. A dull clang. The bell did not ring out. Only a heavy iron thud echoed. No good, Lu Jinghong shook his head. Upside down like this, it can't produce a proper chime. What do we do then? Guan Shanyue struck it once more. Still a muffled thud. He set down the hammer and pressed his palm against the bell. The sensation from the day before returned. Something inside the bell throbbed rhythmically against his palm. He closed his eyes and replayed the melody in his mind. The tune that soothed the soul unfolded fragment by fragment, rising from the patterns he had seen the previous day. Then the carvings on the bell lit up. This time, they burned brighter and far longer. When the glow reached its peak, it held steady, as if waiting for someone to sound it. Guan Shanyue grabbed the hammer once more and brought it down. A deep hum rolled out, spreading far and wide. The sound was low and drawn out, as though rising up from the very bowels of the earth. The entire cellar shook. The bell tone poured out through the cellar opening and swept across the whole desolate city. Winding, mournful notes rang out. Following the rhythm in his head, Guan Shanyue struck the bell slowly and steadily. Up on the city wall, the giant eye was absorbing the corpses at a visibly accelerated rate. It's working. Wu Tai raced up onto the wall and shouted at the top of his lungs. It's drawing them in much faster. Gu Changfeng, Shen Xingzi, and Duanmu Li, who had been locked in combat, paused and gazed upward. Gu Changfeng narrowed his eyes. The absorption rate is more than double what it was yesterday. Does the bell really do this? Duanmu Li spoke, rarely opening his mouth. Look at all that blood foam, getting pulled completely away. Nothing like this happened yesterday. Bai Lu stood by the battlement, her face pale. That bell tone just now, it felt like the whole city shuddered, as if something deep underground had shifted in its sleep. Shifted in its sleep? Wu Tai scratched his head. That gives me the creeps. You don't mean there's some living creature down there, do you? Just a figure of speech. Bai Lu rubbed her arms. Still, when that sound hit, I got goosebumps all over. Once it finished consuming the corpses, the pupil of the giant eye in the sky slowly returned to its former hue. Carried by the ringing bell, the giant eye seemed to savor and digest what it had taken, its horrifying aura softening somewhat. Even so, none dared to stare directly at it for long. They only stole quick glances, avoiding its pupil. The last note of the soul, calming melody faded slowly from everyone's ears. Ordinary sounds of the world seeped back into existence. Lu Jinghong craned his neck and began counting the blood, red streaks across the eye. When he finished, his voice shook. 130. 3 yesterday, 120, 5 today. 8 streaks vanished overnight. 8. Wu Tai did a quick mental calculation. Only 4 disappeared yesterday. Now 8. That's double. The bell really works. Then we ring it every single day. What a win. Wu Tai slapped his thigh in delight. This trip was well worth it. The group was filled with elation. Down in the cellar, Guan Shangyue still stood before the bell. Its patterns continued to glow. As the light lingered, the great bell began to shrink. Bit by bit, the mountain-sized bell deflated, shrinking until it fit in the palm of his hand. It dropped down into his grasp. Guan Shangyue froze where he stood. Wu Tai came rushing down. At the sight, his eyes nearly popped out of his head. Whoa, the bell is yours now. Guan Shangyue stared down at the tiny bell in his hand. It has acknowledged me as its master. Holy hell, what rank of gear is this? Epic rank, it looks like. Wu Tai was consumed by envy, his teeth practically aching with it. Guan Shangyue flicked his wrist. The palm-sized bell swelled in the wind. It clanged down to stand before him, as tall as a man, like an iron bulwark. Fine piece of gear. Guan Shangyue ran a hand over its surface and cracked a rare smile. Wu Tai burned with longing. Brother Guan, can I give the bell a try? As someone of the iron bulwark class, he could hardly contain his jealousy. You? Guan Shangyue looked him up and down. No way. His answer was blunt and final. Wu Tai's shoulders slumped, staring at him with a pleading look. Seeing his pitiful expression, Guan Shangyue nodded toward the man-high bell. Fair warning, this thing weighs an enormous amount. It only answers to me, so I can lift it. Don't go hurting your back trying to heft it. Wu Tai stepped forward. He first stroked its surface, then wrapped both arms around it, trying to lift. Ugh! His face turned bright red with effort. This bell, it's unbelievably heavy. It's bound to its acknowledged master. It won't respond to you. This is epic rank equipment. It possesses a will of its own. Guan Shangyue pulled the bell back to his hand. It shrank once more to palm size, and he tucked it inside his robe. Jiang Sun watched, clicking his tongue in amazement. He pulled up his system panel to read the bell's stats. Soul-suppressing bell, epic rank type. Special equipment masterbound health points, plus 30,000 defense, plus 2,600 constitution, plus 120 damage reduction, 8% active skill, bell tone soul suppression. Strike the bell. Its deep resonance washes outward. Enemies within 30-meter radius suffer brief daze and slowed movement for 5 seconds. Passive skill is soul soothing. The bell's chime calms the spirit. The bearer gains immunity against mental control effects. Passive skill, unmoved mountain. Defense increases an additional 20%. Immunity to knockback. Passive skill, a guardian resonance. Upon receiving a fatal blow, the bell automatically intercepts the attack. 12-hour cooldown. Stacks up to 3 charges. Current charges, 3/3. Jiang Sun scanned the stats. This item was absurdly powerful. It was tailor-made for a tank. Immunity to mental control and knockback. Those 2 seemingly modest bonuses were among the most coveted effects one could find. High above, the giant eye's pupil darkened to an inky black. By the city wall, corpses rose one after another, swirling inward toward the pupil. This went on for nearly half an hour. Qin Yumian had kept watch faithfully beside the dry well. Right as the giant eye began drawing in the corpses, she sensed something strange beneath her feet. Glancing down, she saw dust from the well mouth being sucked swirling down into the depths. It was as if another mouth existed far below, competing with the giant eye in the sky for sustenance. Something's wrong, she called out. There's movement inside the well. The others hurried over and witnessed the phenomenon. Dull, rhythmic thuds echoed up from the well's bottom. Mengxing has squatted by the edge and listened intently. I can tell you this, he said. This place shares some sort of connection with that giant eye above. When the eye starts feeding on corpses, disturbances manifest down here. Lu Jinghong held his notebook. This well is almost certainly linked to it. Linked? The well and that eye in the sky. Wu Tai scratched his head. What else would explain what we're seeing? No one offered a reply. Another low thud rumbled up out of the well. Bai Lu came running down from the city wall. We felt it up top too. The ground keeps shaking. I thought a monster horde was coming early. It won't come early, Guan Shanhua said. These tremors only happen while the eye consumes corpses. The moment his words ended, the giant eye's pupil returned to normal. The feeding was over. Wind stirred again, and the chirps of insects returned. The noises from underground ceased. Silence fell, as if the commotion had never occurred. Guan Shanhua knelt and stared down the well for a long while before standing. We should continue our exploration this afternoon. We know ringing the bell reduces the blood streaks on the eye, but we still have no sure way to shut it down entirely. If we can find answers down below, that would be ideal. Wu Tai pushed forward. Take me with you, Brother Guan. I may not excel at much else, but I've got brute strength. If trouble shows up, I can stand as a living wall in the front line. Guan Shanhua sized him up. You? With that loud voice of yours, the whole city will hear us before we even climb down. I'll stay completely quiet once we're underground. Not a single peep. Fine. Remember you said that. Later that afternoon, once the sun drifted past the bell tower roof, 6 people descended into the well. Guan Shanhua led the way. Qin Yumian brought up the rear. Sandwiched between them were Lu Jinghong, Jiang Sun, Meng Xinghe, and Wu Tai, venturing underground for the first time. The well bottom remained unchanged, dry, hard-packed earth, with the 3 deep claw marks still scored across the wall. Without extra words, Qin Yumian stepped to the well wall, pushed aside a stone slab, and revealed a passageway. This way, she said. If the noise originates from deep below, this tunnel is our best chance of tracing it. The passage remained low-ceilinged. Guan Shanhua hunched as he walked ahead, the soul-suppressing bell tucked against his chest in its miniature form. Jiang Sun released his iron sphere companion. Light blazed from its crown, illuminating the tunnel, revealing dampness seeping from every crack in the stone. Master, I can smell something. The iron sphere sniffed the air. Rust, and also the stench of blood. You're a metal ball. Where would you get a nose? I do have one. My sense of smell is excellent. All right, you've got a sharp nose. Lead on then. The iron sphere floated ahead, shining light all the way to the stone gate. It halted beside the opening and leaned forward to peer down. Master, I want to go check it out down there. Jiang Sun snatched it back. Don't be reckless. It's pitch black down there. Who would light our path if you went tumbling in? I could light the path down there. That's not lighting the path. That's throwing yourself into unknown depths. Stay right here. Brother Guan is in the vanguard. Wu Tai brought up the rear. Once inside the tunnel, he fell unusually quiet. Lu Jinghong glanced back. Holding your tongue surprisingly well. I half expected you shouting before we even got underground. What's there to shout about? Wu Tai rumbled. This place is too still. Not even a cricket chirps. It makes my skin crawl. Aren't you supposed to fear nothing? That applies above ground. Underground, different story. At the end of the passage stood the stone gate the iron sphere had smashed open. The vast underground cavern beyond remained, but the great upside-down bell was gone. Where it had rested, a perfectly round opening gaped. Its edges were smooth and even, as though traced with a compass. Qin Yumian knelt and ran her fingertips along the rim, her brows drawing tight. This opening is far too neat. A collapse could never form something like this. Someone sealed this place deliberately. Who would do that? Wu Tai asked. Who can say? Guan Shanhua stared down into the hole. But whoever sealed it left no mark. That bell sitting upside down here was blocking this opening. The hole was narrow, barely wide enough for one person to slip sideways through. Muffled rhythmic thuds drifted up from far below, identical to the sounds heard from the well at noon. Shall we go down? Wu Tai swallowed hard. We go down, Guan Shanhua decided. Qin Yumian, form footholds in the ice. I'll go first. Lu Jinghong, keep track of our route. Meng Xinghe, you watch our rear. Keep an eye on our escape path. Me bringing up the rear. Meng Xinghe stroked his beard. With my frail frame, I cannot hold off real threats if something attacks from behind. I don't need you to fight. Just yell loud if trouble comes, and we'll retreat. Very well. At the very least, my voice carries. Qin Yumian wove frost from her fingertips, carving solid ice footholds along the inner wall of the pit. Guan Shangyue pressed the soul-suppressing bell against his chest and slipped down first. The opening looked narrow, but the space below widened considerably. Guan Shanyue's figure shrank farther into the gloom. Even with the iron sphere's glow, only half his shoulder was visible. Deeper they went. Darkness thickened, and dampness clung more heavily to the stone walls. At first merely damp, the rock began to ooze moisture. Pressing a finger against the surface drew away water. A pale gray growth clung to the rock, neither true moss nor lichen, slick and unnaturally cold to the touch. Jiang Sun glanced upward. The circle of daylight from the well mouth had dwindled to a tiny pinprick of light, far above. That light belonged to the city above. This was the true, sunless underbelly beneath it all. He swallowed and kept descending. Meng Xinghe huffed as he climbed. This wall is soaked through. Old Guan, are we sure we're going down, not crawling inside some giant creature's belly? Quit talking like that, Wu Tai muttered. Every word gives me more goosebumps. I am making a logical observation. Keep observing, and I'll jam a rock in your mouth. I shall say no more. They descended further. A profound silence wrapped around them. No dripping water, no wind. Even the iron sphere's light seemed swallowed, unable to pierce far into the blackness. Wu Tai moved with extra careful steps. Then, ahead, came dull thuds, steady and rhythmic. Exactly the sounds they had heard from the well. We're here, Guan Shangyue announced. The space suddenly opened into a gigantic cavern. Everyone froze. The chamber was larger than the bell tower cellar, its vaulted ceiling vanishing into endless shadow. Countless wisps of blood foam, fragments of flesh, and broken limbs swirled upward in a great reversed river, cycling round and round. Bits of flesh slapped against the stone walls with wet, sticky sounds. The air reeked of thick, cloying blood. Yet that was not what stunned them most. Crouched beside that upward-flowing river of flesh was a monstrous being. Covered in jet-black chitin, it hunkered like a small mountain. It paid them no mind, fixated entirely on the swirling river of flesh, low rumbling growls vibrating in its throat. All at once it stilled. Slowly, it turned its head. Two blazing crimson eyes ignited within the darkness. Good heavens, Wu Tai's voice cracked. What is that thing? Abyss Warden Elite LV.75 health points, 277900 attack power, 17037 defense, 5482 skills, bone-rending bite, Abyss Roar. The Abyss Warden let out a deep roar. Shockwaves carrying flying gravel crashed toward the group. Spread out, Guan Shangyue summoned the soul-suppressing bell in front of himself. A resounding clang absorbed most of the force. Wu Tai's feet skidded. He nearly got blown over before Qin Yumian snatched him steady. It's guarding that river of flesh. Lu Jinghong shouted. The Abyss Warden charged, its massive bulk barreling forward like an avalanche. The iron sphere launched itself from Jiang Sun's shoulder and collided head-on with the monster. A heavy bang. The iron sphere went flying backward, spinning through air before landing at Jiang Sun's feet. Master, that thing hits really hard. You still act cocky even after getting knocked away. Guan Shangyue planted his bell shield and took the full brunt of the second charge. Cracks spider-webbed across the stone ground beneath his feet. Qin Yumian snapped ice chains forward, coiling them around the monster's hind legs. Frost crept up its chitin plating. Its forward momentum faltered. Attack! Guan Shangyue roared. Wu Tai threw his full weight into punches against the beast's head. Its shell did not even scratch, and the impact sent painful numbness all the way up his arms. Damn, this hide is rock solid. Jiang Sun waved a hand. A salted fish-shaped spirit floated up above his head. Parched domain. The spirit flicked its tail. A pale gray halo unfolded, enveloping the Abyss Warden. The monster's chitin turned dry and brittle, and its movements visibly slowed. Keep it frozen. Wear it down. Jiang Sun yelled. Qin Yumian tightened her ice chains. Wu Tai rained blow after blow. Guan Shangyue held firm behind his bell shield. The iron sphere circled around to slam against its vulnerable hawks. The Abyss Warden roared and thrashed. Wave after wave of Abyss roar rolled outward, making everyone's scalps prickle. It can't hold on much longer. Lu Jinghong called out. Shou Yuan Beast let out a wail, and its massive body crashed to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Defeated Elite Shou Yuan Beast LV.75, gained 12,000 EXP. Phew. Wu Tai slumped to the ground. This thing is way harder to kill than those wolves atop the city wall. It was guarding this place. Lu Jinghong glanced at the fallen beast, then turned his gaze toward the river of flesh whose waters still flowed backward. There must be some clue here. No one replied. The The group began exploring the space. Before long, they discovered a mysterious stone tablet. After deciphering it, they learned its message. The giant eye would close only once every bloodstain across its surface had faded away. These marks could be erased by feeding it monster corpses each day. It drew life energy from the flesh to heal itself. Their primary mission was therefore to slay as many monsters within the secret realm as possible. The main quest was finally clear-kill monsters. Every noon, while the giant eye absorbed the corpses, they would ring the bell to speed up its recovery. That was how they could finish their task sooner. No one knew whether they would make it in time. The realm's rules stated plainly that monsters would keep growing stronger as time passed. When they climbed back out of the well, night had fallen. The 6 of them, covered in dirt, stood inside the bell tower cellar in silence. Lu Jinghong went over the tablet's words in his mind once more. Slay monsters. Feed corpses to the giant eye. Erase all bloodstains, and it will shut its eye. That was all. So our job is killing monsters and ringing a bell. Wu Tai rubbed his hands together. Sounds like free loot. Free loot. Lu Jinghong shot him a sideways look. It may look easy right now, but things will change in the days ahead. Monsters grow stronger over time. Yesterday, we were already facing foes above level 70. As dusk deepened, the wind sweeping from the wasteland shifted. White gusts carrying gray sand howled across the land. The ground at the foot of the city wall began to shake. They're coming. Guan Shangyue gripped his soul-suppressing bell against his chest and squinted into the swirling dust. Tonight's horde is far deadlier than the wolves we fought last night. When the first wave of monsters burst from the sand, every face in the group turned grave. Giant claw beasts, dark gray in color, loomed larger than the jackal wolves of the previous night. Their hides were thick and tough, supported by 2 long, heavy forelimbs tipped with pale, bony claws. The earth trembled with every stride they took. Giant claw beast, normal LV .80 HP, 89400 ATK, 7565 DF, 2443 skill. Brutal charge bone claw nether beast, elite LV .80 HP, 312900 ATK, 18912 DF, 6107 skills. Bone claw rend, energy corrosion. Level 80 creatures. Lu Jinghong's voice rose sharply. That bony hide is like steel blows send sparks flying. Get onto the wall, everyone stay sharp. Guan Shangyue roared. Hold nothing back tonight. Defend the city first. Gu Changfeng struck first. Standing on the battlements with his unsheathed long sword in hand, he swept his blade through the air. A crescent-shaped slash cut horizontally across the horde. The 3 leading giant claw beasts staggered, sparks skittering across their bone armor, but they did not fall. Frowning, Gu Changfeng struck again, harder this time. His slash skimmed the ground, shearing 2 beasts clean in half. Their armor is far tougher than the wolves we fought last night. He frowned. 1 strike would have cut through 3 wolves yesterday. Today I can barely pierce one. Duanmu Li held the young dragon in her arms. She barely lifted an eyelid amid the roar of battle, as though the fight did not concern her at all. It was the dragon that grew restless. It lifted off from where it rested against her and hovered beside her, breathing out a streak of cyan fire. The flames swept over the monster horde. 3 giant claw beasts howled in agony, rolling on the ground before falling still. Duanmu Li spoke at last, her tone flat. Tonight will be a hard-fought battle. Qin Yimian stood atop the wall and raised both hands. Hailstones crashed down from the night sky, hammering into the horde and slowing their advance. Without pausing, she summoned a rain of ice arrows that buried themselves in monster flesh. We have to slow them down, she called. Guan and Wu, you 2 must hold the front. The wall will not stand up to many of those charges. Guan Shangyue had already leaped down from the wall. He planted his bell shield before him, catching the bone claw nether beast's charge with a deafening clang. The impact cracked the stone ground at his feet, yet he did not take a single step backward. Come on, you filth. Hit me, he shouted in a deep, rumbling voice. I will not retreat an inch. Enraged, the nether beast lowered its head and charged once more. Sparks showered across the shield. Guan Shangyue stood firm. His nickname, Unbreakable Wall, was well earned. Watching from the wall, Wu Tai grew eager and jumped down to join him. Brother Guan, I'll help you hold them back. He rushed to Guan Shanyue's side, golden light wrapping around his body as he activated a defensive skill. Wu twisted sideways and took the full force of a giant claw beast's charge on his shoulder. A heavy thud echoed out. Wu Tai slid 2 steps backward across the stone. Come at me, he yelled. My skin is thick. You won't break me. The beast charged again, enraged. Wu Tai kept drawing its attention toward himself while slowly retreating. Focus your attacks, he shouted. I've got this one distracted. Before he could finish, the beast snapped its head upward and sent him flying. He spun through the air and crashed heavily onto the earth. Damn it! Wu Tai grunted as he picked himself up, rubbing his sore chest. Tai! Lu Jinghong shouted down from the wall. Stop taking hits head-on. Led them into crashing into each other. Lu Jinghong was quick-witted, and his trick of turning monsters against one another was clever. He kept fighting himself. Drawing his bow, he loosed 3 wind arrows in rapid succession. The piercing bolts buried themselves deep in the horde, and one giant claw beast fell, an arrow driven through its neck. One down. He wiped sweat from his brow. Yesterday these arrows would pierce 3 foes. Now I'm lucky to take down one. This is getting tough. Even so, his arrows flew nonstop. Shen Xingzi stayed low behind the battlements, sword held tight. His sharp eyes scanned the horde below, waiting for openings. Whenever a chance appeared, he struck, fast, precise, lethal, aiming for eyes and necks, killing one monster with every blow. Yet his expression was grim. I can slay them one by one, but there are endless numbers of them, he muttered. Bai Lu crouched on the wall, her fingers never stopping. Green motes drifted from her fingertips, healing wounded fighters. Jiang Sun remained on one corner of the wall. Iron Ball rested on his shoulder, its eyes glowing. Master, these beasts are tough. Iron Ball rubbed its head. I'm itching to get down there and fight. Tonight I want to smash at least 100. You may go, but do not stray too far. You and Xinyu follow our usual strategy. Xinyu, keep an eye on everyone's health. Got it. Your lady goes forth. None shall survive. With those 2 very different replies, the small pair charged down into the monster horde. Iron Ball leaped from the wall, transforming midair into a large, heavy iron sphere that crashed straight into the crowd of monsters. Boom. One giant claw beast went flying backward, knocking 2 others over. Boom. Another blow landed. Wow. Wu Tai stared in amazement. That little iron ball hits harder than my fists. My knuckles ache after every punch, but one of its crashes sends dozens flying. I'll have to ask it for tips later. Xinyu floated beside Iron Ball, swishing its tail. A pale gray halo spread outward, unleashing its parched domain to envelope the monsters at the wall's base. The beasts' bony armor dried and turned brittle, and their movement slowed. The battle raged deep into the night. Wave after wave of monsters kept coming. Thick piles of corpses gathered at the foot of the wall, blood seeping into the soil and staining the ground black. Bai Lu's healing light never ceased until her fingers grew pale from exhaustion. Hold on. Guan Shanyue's hoarse voice rose from below. Midnight has passed. The horde will retreat soon. Keep fighting a little longer. Another hour passed. At last the monsters began pulling back, vanishing one by one into the white wasteland wind. Every fighter collapsed where they stood, gasping for breath. Third night. Level 80 monsters. Lu Jinghong leaned weakly against the battlements. If their strength keeps rising at this rate, none of us will survive many more nights on these walls. Quiet. Wu Tai lay flat on his back. Let me rest. Jiang Sun leaned against the wall, also breathing heavily. He glanced at his status panel. The experience he had gained that night was far greater than the 2 previous nights. His Seal of Fate points had also increased considerably. Iron Ball hopped back onto his shoulder, covered in dust and bone fragments, still restless. Master, will there be more tomorrow night? I didn't get to smash enough foes tonight. There will be more. More than you can handle. Xinyu drifted above Jiang Sun's head and sighed. I kept my domain open all night. I'm worn out. You are a fish. You don't even have a waist. Lady Xinyu says I'm tired. So I'm tired. Down in the wasteland, within the white wind, the pale gray figure reappeared. This time it stood far closer than ever before. Jiang Sun could clearly make out its shape. A 4-limbed creature, neither fully beast nor human. It did not move. It simply stood, watching the top of the city wall. Jiang Sun stared at the silhouette. Playing mysterious, are you? If he were not so exhausted, he would have chased it down and destroyed it on the spot. His fingers ached sorely after casting so many fate seals through the long night. By daylight, the gray-white shape returned once more to the edge of the wasteland. It stood 100 meters outside the wall, motionless, gazing upward. Jiang Sun peeked over the battlements, watching it carefully. Bold of you to show yourself in broad daylight. Something suddenly settled on his shoulder. Hakimi had emerged without warning. Its golden vertical pupils locked onto the distant figure, its tail held stiffly upright. Master, Hakimi cried urgently. That being carries fortune, living fortune. Fortune, yes. The aura is faint, but it is definitely there. It patted Jiang Sun's shoulder with a paw. We cannot let it escape. The fortune will vanish. Jiang Sun's heart beat faster. He understood why Hakimi had sensed nothing from the bell. That fortune had belonged to Guan Shangyue. This fortune was meant for him alone. He lowered his voice. Could anyone else claim it? Claim it. Hakimi huffed. There is only one share of fortune. If you bring others, you will have to split it. Fortune enjoyed alone is true fortune. Sharing it will only lead to conflict. Well said. Jiang Sun grinned and tucked Hakimi back inside his coat. Then I will go alone. He climbed down from the wall and found Guan Shangyue, who was inspecting cracks along the fortifications alongside Wu Tai. Brother Guan, I'm heading outside the walls to train. There's nothing to do during the day. Go ahead. Come back soon. Guan Shangyue did not look up. Will do. Jiang Sun stepped outside the city. White wind and sand stung his cheeks. The hard ground beneath his feet bore no footprints. The pale gray figure stood 100 meters away, watching him approach. It did not flee. Resting on its three-clawed forelimbs, it tilted its head and studied the human walking toward it. An uneasy chill ran down Jiang Sun's spine. The creature examined him from head to toe. Was it counting the survivors inside the city? Or judging whether he would make a good meal? Jiang Sun shook off his worries. According to the realm's rules, beings above the first rank could not appear here. He had little to fear. He stopped roughly 10 meters away. Finished looking, he said. The gray figure tilted its head. While living beings remain, the apocalypse shall continue. Apocalypse of what? Jiang Sun asked, hoping for more information. The creature ignored him and repeated the same sentence over and over. A broken record, huh? If you have no useful answers, then prepare to die. Jiang Sun raised his hand. Iron Ball. Iron Ball launched itself from his shoulder, transforming into its giant iron form and charging straight for the gray-white shape. The creature blurred, turning intangible. Iron Ball passed straight through it and crashed into a pile of ash. Master, I can't hit it. Its form is illusory. Iron Ball climbed back out, dust covering its head. The gray-white shape drifted backward deeper into the wasteland, picking up speed. Trying to run? Jiang Sun flicked a fate seal that stuck fast to the creature. I've marked you. You cannot escape. Physical attacks were useless against its intangible form. That would make things difficult. The gray-white figure quickly vanished from sight. Jiang Sun closed his eyes, then opened them and pointed toward the wasteland. That way. Master, can we catch up? Hakimi poked its head out of his coat. Yes. Jiang Sun smiled. My seal is on it. It cannot hide, no matter how far it flies. He sprinted forward. Iron Ball shrank into a small sphere and rolled quickly behind him. Every time the gray-white shape glanced back, it saw the human still chasing it. It turned. Jiang Sun turned. It sped up. Jiang Sun sped up. Over there, master. Hakimi shouted. At last the creature reached the edge of a cliff and stopped. Its illusory body solidified once more. It turned and let out a low snarl toward Jiang Sun. It would fight. It's angry. Hakimi warned. Master, it's going to attack. Bring it on. Jiang Sun's excitement grew. Iron Ball attack. He pulled up his status panel to view its stats. Projection of an unknown being, elite LV.80 HP, 312900 ATK, 18912 DF, 6107 skills, illusory escape, shift into intangible form, immune to physical damage, greatly increased movement speed, solid form pounce, solidify body and leap at target, dealing 2.5 times attack damage. Only 2 skills for such an imposing title? The system labeled it a projection of some unknown entity. Jiang Sun wondered whether its true identity was hidden from his level of perception. Still, a visible health bar meant it could be killed. On paper, the fight looked straightforward. Jiang Sun summoned all his companions. Iron Ball moved forward to tank blows. Xinyu opened its domain for healing. Lingyu provided long-range damage. Hakimi stayed back, for Jiang Sun feared it would be instantly defeated if it joined the fight. The gray-white figure solidified, dug its claws into the ground, and leaped. A cloud of gray wind swept behind it. It's pouncing. Jiang Sun dodged to one side and shouted. Iron Ball. Iron Ball crashed hard into its target. Boom. The creature flew backward and slammed into the ash-covered ground. It rose, swelling in size. Gray energy burst from its body. It dug its 3-clawed forelimbs into the dirt and let out a high-pitched cry toward the wasteland's depths. Is it calling reinforcements? A flicker of worry crossed Jiang Sun's mind. Whoever it calls, I'll smash them too. Iron Ball charged forward again. Every attack landed. Jiang Sun had worried that its intangibility would block all physical damage, yet now it had chosen to solidify. It was exactly the opening he needed. All 4 of his summoned creatures relied on physical strikes. Only Xinyu's parched domain burned the foe, though its damage output was weak and might barely break through its defense. minus 25,998 damage from Iron Ball's charge, minus 64,483 damage from Lingyu's blades, empowered by the domain. Huge numbers floated above the creature's head. Its health dropped rapidly. The projection staggered under the blows. White powder drifted off its body with every strike, and its form grew fainter. At last it collapsed onto the ground and dissolved into a cloud of pale gray dust. Defeated projection of an unknown being, Elite LV.80, gained 52,000 EXP. Something dropped out of the dust. Palm-sized, gray-white, neither quite bone nor stone, it felt ice-cold to the touch. Hakimi darted forward and circled around the object, its tail whirling like a windmill. Master, this is it. The fortune. Iron Ball rolled back onto Jiang Sun's shoulder and peered down at the fragment. Master, can I eat it? You want to eat everything you see. I was just asking. Iron Ball scratched its head. Jiang Sun picked the fragment up. A system notification appeared. Power shard of an unknown being, rare material condensed energy from an unidentified source. Extremely hard. Purpose unknown. Unknown being. Jiang Sun turned the fragment over in his hands several times before storing it inside his inventory. The creature had not been especially powerful, falling quickly to his companion's assault. It had clearly been sent as a scout, checking whether living humans remained. If survivors existed, more monsters would be dispatched. You won't be watching us any longer. He patted the cold fragment tucked inside his coat. I wonder what your master will do now. On the journey back to the city, Jiang Sun walked happily, the fragment safe against his chest. A solo trip had earned him 52,000 experience points, plus a rare treasure. A very profitable day. Night fell. The fourth night of the siege arrived. Silence hung heavy at the foot of the city wall. Everyone climbed up onto the city wall and waited for half the night. Wind blew in from the wastelands, carrying an indescribable stench. Lu Jinghong leaned against the battlement with his bow in his arms, his eyelids growing heavy. What is this? Not a single monster in sight. This isn't right. Where is the beast horde? The silence is far too unsettling. Something must have happened, Guan Shanhua said. Wu Tai rubbed his nose. What could possibly go wrong? If the monster wave never comes, we might actually get a full night's sleep. Jiang Sun leaned against the battlement, pulled the fragment out of his backpack, and turned it over again and again in his hands. Hakimi crouched on his shoulder, its golden eyes locked firmly on the shard. Its claws stretched out, then retracted, over and over. Quit staring. You can't eat it anyway. Master, it has to be useful. My nose never lies. Fine, it's useful. I'll put it away. He tucked the fragment back into his bag and patted Hakimi on the head. By the late hours of the fourth night, there was still no sign of trouble. The group kept watch atop the wall until the moon sank low. Lu Jinghong was the first to give in to exhaustion. He curled up beneath the battlements with his bow and was soon snoring steadily. Wu Tai grew sleepy as well. He squatted against the wall, nodding off repeatedly, nearly face-planting into the dust. Guan Shanhua scanned their surroundings. Seeing no monsters anywhere, he waved a hand. Everyone go get some rest. I will keep watch for the rest of the night. The others scattered at once. Jiang Sun returned to his quarters and fell asleep the moment his head hit the bed. It was the deepest sleep he had enjoyed since entering this secret realm, the first full night of rest he had gotten. When he woke the next morning, the beast horde still had not arrived. Doubt crept into Jiang Sun's mind. No way. Could this really be happening? Had the death of that white apparition he killed stopped the monster wave entirely? If the horde was gone for good, they would have no way to earn experience points in this realm. Their whole purpose for coming here would be defeated. Still, he chose not to tell the rest of the group. He decided to treat the quiet as a built-in mechanism of the secret realm, granting them a single day of rest. At the usual hour, the bell rang. The moment its sound echoed out, the suction force emanating from the giant eye descended once more. Yet there was nothing for it to pull in. The ground was completely bare, not a single monster corpse lay anywhere. The giant eye seemed stunned. It pulled for a time, found nothing, and then the force faded away. On the fifth night, the monsters finally returned. Late after midnight, gray wind whipped sand and stone against the city wall. The first wave of creatures advanced out of the deep wasteland. Every monster was at least level 85, though their numbers appeared slightly reduced. Each one radiated overwhelming power. That night's battle was brutal and straightforward, nothing but head-on combat. Iron Ball slammed into foes again and again with resounding crashes. Wu Tai stood at the very front behind his golden shield wall, while Lu Jinghong drew his bow so hard the string nearly sparked. The sixth night brought an even deadlier threat. Level 90 monsters with incredibly thick hides charged forward. When one rammed the wall, Chunks of plaster crumbled down. That night brought real bloodshed. A massive beast caught Wu Tai off guard and sent him flying. Cracks spiderwebbed across his golden shield wall. He spat out blood and threw himself back into the fight. Come on, my skin's tougher than you think. Guan Shangyue stepped in with his bell-shaped shield, blocking 2 heavy blows and pulling Wu Tai back from the thick of the monster horde. When dawn broke and the last monster fell, exhausted gasps rose all along the wall. Bailu had cast healing spells non-stop through the whole fight, drained until her face turned pale. Jiang Sun had barely joined the front lines these past few nights. Instead, he stayed on the wall marking targets with life, seal runes. Iron Ball and Salted Fish handled most of the fighting. Salted Fish had placed a green healing mark above every teammate's head. Without that constant recovery, Guan Shangyue and Wu Tai would have struggled badly to stay alive. Qin Yumian raced back and forth across the wall, barking orders. Slow them down and push left. Guan and Wu hold the front line. Don't let them crash into the wall. Jiang Sun scattered runes in every gap he found. His speed improved with practice, and his stock of life, seal points grew substantially. Deep into the 6th night, Lu Jinghong's bowstring snapped. Without hesitation, he pulled a new string from his pouch and strung his bow. He never paused his barrage of arrows. On the morning of the 7th day, Jiang Sun squatted beside the city wall and counted his gains. Universal experience points, 2,984,300. A wide grin spread across his face. He had never earned such a huge reward before. If only the root of New Sprout's secret realm was accessible right now, he would have gone immediately to level up. Life, seal points, 15,620. His reserves had also increased greatly. While he was still far from the 100,000-point goal, steady progress was being made. He still needed many more points to unlock his next summoning slot, but saving up was never a waste. Attributes gained through life, seal plunder, plus 89 stamina, plus 69 strength, plus 73 agility, plus 92 intelligence. Altogether, he had gained 323 attribute points. Most of these rewards came from the runes he had marked. It was hard, earned work that made his fingers ache. Every point was well worth it. A first-order professional normally gained roughly 9 attribute points per level. This single haul had earned him stats equivalent to leveling up more than 30 times. Jiang Sun smiled contentedly. His loot pile had also grown. The fragment he kept in his bag felt cold, its texture much like bone. Since Hakimi insisted it held great value, he decided to hang on to it. His backpack was crammed with monster materials as well. There were claws from bone, claw wraith, beasts, bone armor from giant, clawed beasts, and countless other trophies. He planned to sell everything once they left the secret realm. He lifted his gaze toward the colossal eye hanging high above them. Very few red streaks remained across its scara. Then he glanced over at his companions. Great work, everyone, he said, patting each of them one by one. Iron Ball stretched out a small hand and touched its own iron head. It was fun. Smashing things felt awesome. My skull keeps getting harder and harder. Finished tallying his rewards, he leaned back against the wall and sighed. Most people defend these walls just to survive. For me, this siege feels almost like a leisurely outing. My fingers are the only sore part. Salted Fish floated above his head, swishing its tail back and forth. You are far too idle. Next time, why not head outside the walls with Iron Ball? I will keep your health topped off while you charge into battle. No thanks. My head isn't nearly as tough as Iron Ball's. You two can go fight instead, Jiang Sun replied. One incident from the 4th night still made everyone laugh. With no monsters to fight, Wu Tai had grown restless. He squatted on the wall, staring at Iron Ball. Hey little guy, who do you think is harder, you or me? Iron Ball thought for a moment. I am harder. You are just a metal orb. How tough could you really be? Wu Tai stood and thumped his chest. Go on then, run into me. I am strong enough to crack a mountain open. Iron Ball looked at Wu Tai, then turned toward Jiang Sun. Master, can I ram him? Jiang Sun barely opened his eyes. If he wants you to test it, go ahead. Understood. Iron Ball hopped 3 steps backward. Its body trembled, and its head swelled to the size of a millstone before it charged straight into Wu Tai's chest. Wu Tai's eyes widened in shock at the sight of the massive-sized head. He quickly braced himself, golden light flaring across his skin. Boom. The impact sent Wu Tai flying through the air. He arced 3 meters before crashing down outside the city wall. His voice drifted upward from where he landed. You cheated. Silence fell over the wall. Lu Jinghong leaned over the battlement and called down. Well, who is harder? Wu Tai climbed out of the dust, rubbing his sore chest and wincing. Fine, he really is harder. Iron Ball shook its enlarged head proudly. I told you I was harder. You didn't have to hit me that hard. Wu Tai shouted. Iron Ball scratched its metal scalp. You said to test it, so I tested it. Lu Jinghong laughed so hard he could barely stand. You brought this on yourself. It is like people who work non-stop and then get a sudden vacation. They grow restless staying home and run out looking for excitement, only to exhaust themselves and remember work starts again tomorrow. Wu Tai glared at him. You are the restless one. Your whole family is restless. Midday on the 7th day, the bell was rung as usual. Guan Shangyue carried the mallet to the top of the wall and struck deep, resonant chimes that echoed all across the isolated city. Once more, suction emanated from the giant eye, lifting every monster corpse and swirling them toward its pupil. Jiang Sun squatted against the wall when something inside his backpack began to stir. He pulled out the fragment. The palm-sized gray, white bone shard was growing warm, hot enough to feel like fresh, baked flatbread. Hakimi sprang out at once, its golden eyes wide. Master, it is heating up. Salted. Fish drifted closer, its single eye studying the fragment intently before flicking its tail. I can smell it. This object belongs to that giant eye in the sky. You can tell that just by looking? Jiang Sun asked. I am excellent at judging things, both people and items. Salted. Fish drooled slightly. Though it smells sort of nice. Jiang Sun tucked the fragment safely inside his robe. Stop drooling. You cannot eat this. I was only examining it. You were about to try tasting it, I bet. Ugh, fine. I do not want it anyway. Salted. Fish turned away and floated off. Why would the fragment grow hot while the giant eye absorbed corpses? Jiang Sun lifted his head and studied the colossal eye overhead. Only a dozen or 20 red streaks were left on its scara. Days of heavy monster slaughter had clearly weakened it. Then he watched, stunned, as the outermost remaining streaks faded, stirred to life, and began thickening once more. One streak split and became two. Guan Shangyue froze mid-swing with the bell mallet, his voice dropping to a murmur. No good. Those red marks are spreading again. Silence fell over the city wall. Every person stared upward, watching the streaks wriggle like living creatures across the giant eye. Then they all witnessed it. A jagged crack tore open beneath the eye, broad daylight revealing a pitch-black passageway ripped open in space. A chill ran straight down Jiang Sun's spine. Hakimi crouched at his feet, golden pupils locked onto the rift. Its tail stiffened, and a low warning rumble vibrated deep in its throat. Wind swept in from the wasteland, sand scraping against the stone walls. Something terrible and completely unexpected was unfolding. A deep wound split across the surface of the giant eye, leading to an unknown place beyond. Then sharp cracking sounds echoed overhead. Crack, crack, like ice shattering. Jiang Sun shot his gaze upward. The fissure beneath the giant eye spread outward, its edges writhing like living flesh as the dark opening widened further. It resembled shattered glass, spreading wider and wider. Hordes of creatures began pouring out. First, a gray skull peeked over the edge of the rift. Then a second, then a third. In the blink of an eye, countless monsters spilled out and dropped from the sky, crashing onto the ground outside the city wall in clouds of dust. Every creature rose back to its feet instantly. Skeletal apes clutching bone spears marched in formation toward the wall. Instead of charging blindly, they paused after landing, formed neat ranks, and advanced together as a disciplined army. Everyone, get on the wall. Qin Yumian's voice cut through the haze. Chaos erupted on the battlements. People sprinted from their rest quarters, others stuffed half-eaten food into their mouths, and leaped onto the wall in one jump. Hakimi's fur stood straight on end as it stared upward. Jiang Sun's heart skipped a beat. These monsters were organized, moving in coordinated squads. Past beast hordes had always been disorganized mobs charging mindlessly forward. This force moved in perfect unison, like a well-drilled military unit. This was no ordinary horde. It was a monster army. Skeletal ape, normal LV.95 health, 119,000 attack, 9,800 defense, 3,200 skills, bone, spear throw active, hurl a condensed bone spear, dealing 200% attack damage, 3-second cooldown. Painless death, charge passive, feels no exhaustion or pain, attack speed rises as health drops. Level 95. Bailu cried out in alarm. Their level jumped 5 all at once. Jump then, Lu Jinghong gritted his teeth and loosed an arrow. 5 extra levels every single night. How are we supposed to survive this? When they first arrived, monsters had only been level 60. Each passing night raised their level by 5, and their stats surged accordingly. Lu Jinghong's wind, arrow vanished into the mist and struck the leading ape, producing nothing but a spray of sparks. Meng Xinghe huddled behind a battlement, muttering under his breath. I warned you. Tonight brings terrible misfortune. Enough prophecies. Wu Tai roared. Stop calculating and fight. Unleash your strongest skills, old Taoist. Aim for their eyes, that is their weak point. Gu Changfeng drew his sword. His blade cut cleanly through the gray mist and slew 2 apes at the front of the formation. The creatures simply stepped over their fallen comrades, never breaking their march. When the apes reached the wall, they unleashed a volley of bone spears raining down on the defenders. Guan Shanyue reacted instantly, casting a wide defensive shield to shelter every person on the wall. His epic, grade defensive gear and the protection of his soul bell gave him tremendous defense. Yet this large-scale barrier could not last forever. Bone spears hammered against the shield with a constant clanging noise, unable to break through. Wu Tai, draw their aggro. Qin, Yumian shouted. Wu Tai jumped down from the wall, landing hard enough to crater the earth. Golden light blazed all over his body. Come, direct all your attacks toward me. Bone spears struck his skin with a metallic clang. Hardly tickling me. Wu Tai laughed and punched one ape to the ground. But there were far too many monsters. Wave after wave poured out of the mist without end. Protected by these 2 front-line defenders, the rest of the team could fight safely. Jiang Sun stopped holding back. He summoned all 4 of his companion beasts to unleash their full power. He briefly considered launching attacks himself using his mana missiles, but realized direct combat would reduce the life seal rewards he gained. He decided to stick to marking targets with runes instead. Further along the wall, 10 other defenders from the Spirit Pavilion came under heavy assault. During the second spear volley, screams erupted from their section. Tank-type warriors with high defense managed to hold on, while fragile support fighters suffered terrible wounds. Many were pierced through arms or thighs. One unlucky warrior was killed instantly when a bone spear went straight through his eye and out the back of his skull, pinning him to the ground. Healers rushed to save him, yet their efforts were far too late. War was cruel, and casualties were inevitable. Everyone had accepted the risk of death to grow stronger in this realm. Jiang Sun's group of talented fighters faced overwhelming pressure as well. One ape spear flung Wu Tai 30 feet backward. He crashed against the battlement, spat blood, and climbed back to his feet. Come on, beasts. My skin is still thick enough for you. Lu Jinghong shot arrows at maximum speed until his fingers burned red from the bowstring. Duanmu, Li's young dragon, swooped down from the sky, unleashing fire breath that burned dozens of monsters. On its way back to the wall, an ape threw a bone spear that pierced its wing. The juvenile dragon lacked strong defense, and Duanmu, Li immediately recalled it, gently stroking its injured wing. No longer holding back, she raised her hand. Summoner's magic light glowed around her. Her second companion beast appeared, the black, armored dragon, turtle, level 50, platinum quality. As expected of an SSS rank summoner, her pair of beasts worked perfectly together. One dealt heavy damage, the other absorbed blows. Though her young green, horned dragon was still immature, its offensive power was impressive. Her dragon, turtle, acted like an immovable fortress. The colossal beast, 3 to 4 stories tall and spanning 10 meters across, crashed down into the horde. Its impact crushed many apes beneath its bulk, trapping them underneath its weight. Duanmu, Li had remained quiet the whole siege, cold and composed, directing only her dragon's fire attacks. Now her voice shook with rage. How dare you hurt my dragon? She stood atop the wall, her fingertips glowing white as she cast an enhancement spell. Burn them to ashes. Her young dragon's fire damage surged higher. Jiang Sun watched in astonishment. The normally reserved summoner had completely lost her cool the moment her pet was wounded. Then Duanmu, Li turned her head and spotted Jiang Sun. Shock washed over her face. How was this possible? First, order summoners were limited to 2 companion slots. Why did Jiang Sun have 4 beasts out in battle? How could all 4 be so powerful? Iron Ball, Salted Fish, Hakimi, and Plumage stopped hiding and leaped down to fight beside the wall. Iron Ball expanded to 100 times its original size, growing over 20 meters tall, a towering metal giant. It charged wildly through the monster horde and could even fly. Soaring high into the air, it dove headfirst into the densest cluster of apes. Monsters scattered in every direction from the impact. Salted Fish floated above its metal head, continuously healing it. Whenever Iron Ball lost health, it was instantly restored. After landing, Iron Ball picked apes up in its huge hands and swung them like clubs against their kin. Bodies flew everywhere. Salted, Fish activated its drying domain, covering a 100-meter radius. Hundreds of apes fell inside the zone. Every second, thousands of points of burning damage cut through their defenses. The fish also placed its green healing marks above every defender on the wall, showering them with constant restorative light to keep all allies at full health. Plumage unleashed countless sharp feather blades, slaying one ape after another with every strike. Jiang Sun sat on the floating swing created by Plumage's ability and rose high into the air. His hands moved rapidly, scattering rune marks, looking almost as though he was performing for the crowd. Hakimi contributed the least to open combat. Its rank was only gold, and it remained level 1. It snuck unseen among the monsters, waiting for weakened targets to finish off with surprise strikes. Every successful kill was celebrated with a triumphant meow. It proved that even a fortune-type beast could fight. Duanmu, Li stared in disbelief at Jiang Sun's perfectly coordinated team. Jealousy welled up inside her. How could a B-rank summoner outperform her, an SSS-rank talent? She resolved to find him after the battle and demand an explanation for his extra summoning slots. The fight raged non-stop from midday until nightfall. Everyone was beginning to wear out, yet not a single person stepped back. The night grew darker and the mist thickened. The crack in the distant skyline, which had looked pitch black by day, was now breathtakingly beautiful against the darkness. Faint blue light radiated from its jagged edges. Inside the rift, countless tiny blue points of light flickered on and off, looking just like the eyes of enormous creatures blinking one after another. Right in the middle of the fierce battle, a crash far louder than the thud of any other monster landing boomed across the battlefield. Something huge was approaching. The bone, spear demon apes parted like a tide, clearing a path. The creature stood half a head taller than the city wall, its skin ash-brown, its back covered in swollen boils. Every step it took deepened the gray fog around it. The massive lizard-like beast was wrapped in swirling mist, much like a man exhaling a thick cloud of smoke after a drag from his pipe. Plague, Bone Basilisk Elite LV.95 Vanguard HP, for 17000 ATK, 24500 DF, 7950. Skills, Fog Domain. Releases gray mist across a surrounding area. All monsters within the mist gain a 20% attack boost. City, Breaking Charge. Smashes into city walls, dealing triple damage and knocking away structures. Plague Breath. Spews a cone-shaped cloud of toxic fumes forward, dealing burning damage equal to 150% of its attack power. Inflicts a corrosive debuff lasting 5 seconds that deals damage equal to 50% of its attack power every second. This corrosion effect also harms city walls. Rapid Regeneration. Restores 5% of its maximum HP every second after taking damage until fully healed. A level 95 elite. Qin Yumian's voice trembled. If the Vanguard is already level 95, what else could be coming behind it? What else is there? Whatever is coming, we deal with what's in front of us first. Guan Shangyue strode to the very edge of the wall and planted his bell shield firmly. We cannot let this monster strike the wall. It was born to break fortifications. I will hold the front line. The rest of you focus your fire. The basilisk lifted its head and spewed a cloud of gray-green plague breath straight toward the gate. The iron plating on the gate sizzled, peeling away layer by layer before their eyes. Even the solid stone wall crumbled, fine dust showering down under the corrosive fumes. That plague breath is terrifying. It can eat away even stone. Hold the line, Guan Shangyue roared, leaping down from the wall to stand firm before the colossal beast. He summoned his soul-resting bell, expanding it into a giant bell more than 10 meters tall. He planted it squarely in the monster's path. The basilisk roared, "You dare stand in my way?" Wave after wave of toxic breath washed over the soul-resting bell. The golden glow surrounding the bell dimmed visibly with every passing second. Qin Yumian lashed out with chains of ice, trying to lock the basilisk's front legs. A thick layer of frost crept over its limbs with a crunching sound. But the moment the basilisk lifted its leg, the ice shattered and fell away. I cannot freeze it. Its strength is too great. Anyone else with slowing skills, use them now, she shouted. Gu Changfeng brought his sword down on the basilisk's neck. His sword energy cut half a foot deep into its flesh. Yet the beast shook its head and sent him flying, sword and all. Do not charge recklessly. Attack from range. Coordinate closely with the tanks. Qin Yumian's voice grew hoarse. Guan and Wu Tai hold the front. Everyone else focus fire. When Jiang Sun saw the monster's stats, he nearly cursed out loud. Every other stat was manageable, but that rapid regeneration skill was ridiculous. It healed thousands of hit points every single second after taking damage. There was no way they could wear it down quickly. Jiang Sun ordered Iron Ball and Salted Fish to join the hunt against the giant beast, fearing they would never finish it off in time. Iron Ball, go! Iron Ball let out a battle cry and soared through the air, slamming full force into the beast's head. A deep, dull thud echoed out. The basilisk was knocked backward dozens of meters. Iron Ball was hurled back by the recoil, plowing 2 deep furrows across the ground before rolling to a halt against the base of the city wall. Stung by the blow, Iron Ball flew into a rage. Never before had it met a foe stronger than itself. The 2 Twindametrital titans began to grapple across the battlefield. The nearby demon apes bore the brunt of their clash, sent flying or crushed beneath their feet time and again. Jiang Sun winced as he watched them trade blow for blow. He quickly told Salted Fish to keep an eye on Iron Ball's health. Though Iron Ball's defense was extremely high, reaching 9,600 in combat, it could not shrug off the basilisk's 24,500 attack power forever. Every strike still chipped away at its health. Fortunately, Iron Ball possessed its life-saving skill Undying Body, supported by Salted Fish's healing. Once Iron Ball's HP dropped below 50%, Undying Body reduced all incoming damage by half. Combined with its high defense, most attacks barely scratched it. Iron Ball fought without the slightest trace of fear, throwing itself wholeheartedly into the brawl. Salted Fish hovered high in the air and activated her Scorched Domain, still looking completely relaxed. Her unique skill made every enemy ignore her presence entirely. Even Hachimi envied her. Invisibility was nothing compared to being overlooked by everyone. A little display of my power, and you cannot keep up, humph. She rolled her eyes. On an ordinary day, you ugly creatures could kneel and beg for my attention, and I would not spare you a single glance. Ling Yu shot feather blades down from the sky. The blade struck the basilisk's back and sank deep out of sight, but its hide was far too thick. Such attacks barely harmed it. Ling Yu changed tactics. Instead of striking straight down, he fired at an angle, carving dozens of long gashes across the beast's body. Streams of pus mixed with dark red blood sprayed outward. Pain finally drove the basilisk to let out a deafening roar. It twisted around and lunged toward Ling Yu. Hold it back. Do not let it escape. Guan Shanhua shouted. Iron Ball moved to intercept. Yet the basilisk could never catch Ling Yu, who remained safely airborne, wearing the beast down from above. Under the combined assault of the group, the basilisk soon bore wounds all over its body. Its health dropped to less than 20%. Even so, rapid regeneration kept restoring its health. Fear finally crept into its mind. It began to retreat slowly into the gray mist, desperate to save itself. Jiang Sun would not let it get away. Everyone push harder. Finish it. We cannot let it escape. If more monsters this strong arrive later, we will never defend the wall. Guan Shanhua and the others understood the danger. If too many elite monsters gathered, their city wall would be destroyed. They gritted their teeth, summoning their last reserves of strength to unleash one final, full-powered barrage. Thanks to the slowing effect from Salted Fish's Scorched Domain, the basilisk's movement was now almost completely stifled. With every step backward, it dragged its limbs as though wading through thick mud. Scorched Domain reduced its speed nearly to zero, pinning it in place. Jiang Sun yelled. Iron Ball, stop it from reaching the mist. Iron Ball roared and flew upward, its 20-meter metal frame crashing down hard onto the basilisk's back. The basilisk collapsed to the ground, kicking wildly and carving 4 deep trenches into the earth. Focus fire. This is our final chance. Qin Yumian's hail of ice stones rained down. Gu Changfeng drove his sword energy deep into the old wound on the basilisk's neck. Fresh blood sprayed 3 meters high. Duan Mu Li bit her lip, and her young dragon breathed fire directly onto the open gash. The stench of burning flesh drifted over the city wall. The basilisk roared and tried to rise again, but Ling Yu loosed another volley of angled feather blades, slashing 7 long cuts across its belly. Blood poured out like water from an open floodgate. Iron Ball seized the basilisk's tail, spun it overhead, and slammed it hard against the ground. A deafening crash shook the whole area. The basilisk struggled twice more, then fell still. Plague-Bone Basilisk Elite LV.95 has been slain. Jiang Sun's hands shook, half from exhaustion and half from triumph. Defeating this elite yielded a huge amount of experience. It had been an incredible victory. Most of their group were only level 40 or 50, fighting a level 985 elite monster far above their own rank. Silence fell briefly over the wall before cheers erupted. Finally, it's dead. Lu Jinghong sank to the ground, his fingers still trembling. Wu Tai leaned against the battlements, gasping for breath. I spent this whole battle taking blow after blow, thrown through the air over and over. I can still ram things. Iron Ball shrank back down to Palm's eyes and floated onto Jiang Sun's shoulder, brimming with excitement. If another big monster comes, I will fight it again. Save your energy. Jiang Sun rolled his eyes. Do you forget you were sent tumbling dozens of meters by that recoil? I just lost my balance. Iron Ball argued stubbornly. Salted Fish hovered overhead and rolled her eyes. I trapped it with a simple trick, yet you all struggled so hard to finish it off. TSK, TSK. All right. You are the most powerful one, young lady. Jiang Sun replied dismissively. The fight would almost certainly have been lost without the speed reduction from Salted Fish's Scorched Domain. The basilisk's regeneration rate had been over 20,000 health points per second. Meng Xinghe crouched behind the battlements, his face pale. I warned you tonight would bring great disaster. Enough, Wu Tai snapped. You have been saying that non-stop, and your voice is driving me crazy. Disaster is coming. Meng Xinghe ducked his head. This is not over yet. Jiang Sun was about to speak when he noticed Duanmu Li staring straight at him, her gaze sharp as a blade. Her usual icy composure was beginning to crack. You. Duanmu Li spoke in a trembling voice. Are you not a summoner with a brank talent? Jiang Sun's heart skipped a beat, though he kept a cheerful smile on his face. That is right. Brank, genuine and unmodified. Then how do you have 4 summoned beasts? Duanmu Li raised her voice sharply. As a first-tier summoner, why do you have 4? Perhaps, Jiang Sun scratched his head. It is a special effect of my talent. That is impossible. Duanmu Li's eyes glistened with anger. I possess an SS rank talent and can only control 2 summoned beasts. How could a brank summoner have 4, each one stronger than the last? Keep your voice down. Jiang Sun waved his hand with a pretense of calm. It comes from my talent, nothing more. He had no choice but to hide behind that vague excuse. Humph, you are hiding a secret. I will find you once we leave this secret realm. Jiang Sun realized he had failed to fool her after all. Duanmu Li was about to press further when Guan Shanyue's urgent shout cut her off. Everyone, look at the rift in the sky. Fell silent. Jiang Sun lifted his gaze toward the crack. The faint blue glow along its edges burned far brighter than before. Countless tiny blue lights packed tightly together inside the rift, flickering non-stop, like thousands of eyes lined up behind the opening, watching them. This is wrong. Qin Yumian's voice shook. There were nowhere near this many before. The rift shuddered violently. A harsh scraping sound, like glass being torn apart, echoed across the sky, sending shivers down every person's spine. An enormous claw reached out from the crack and hooked onto its jagged edge. The claw alone was larger than the basilisk's head, covered in hard, dark brown shell like cast iron. The rift creaked and groaned, loose fragments of stone raining down. With one final heavy thud, the creature forced its way out. Half of its body scraped against the sharp edges of the rift, tearing open deep wounds. It paid them no heed, landing heavily on the ground. Boom. The entire city wall shook under the impact. Jiang Sun stared in shock and gasped. Before them stood a giant alligator-like beast, even larger than the plague-bone basilisk. Its body was encased in a thick mud-black shell. Its forelegs were as thick as gate pillars, and its head alone was half the height of the city wall. Blackrock Giant Alligator Elite LV.99 HP, 444700 ATK, 26,000 DF, 8460 skills, Thick Earth Armor Passive. The hard mud shell covering its body reduces all incoming damage by 30%. Giant Tail Sweep Active, swings its tail in a wide fan-shaped arc, dealing physical damage equal to 250% of its attack power, and knocking struck targets flying. 8-second cooldown. Mudground Stomp Active, stamps on the ground, turning all land within a 30-meter radius into quick mud. Movement speed of targets in range is cut by 50%. Those trapped sink deeper and suffer double the slow effect. Lasts 10 seconds. 20-second cooldown. City Breaking Charge Active, lowers its head and charges towards city walls, dealing damage to structures equal to 500% of its attack power, and knocking fortifications aside. Immune to crowd control effects while charging. 30-second cooldown. A level Nanettanine Elite. Qin Yumian's voice trembled. How are first-tier fighters supposed to fight something like this? How did it even get here? Bai Lu's face drained of all color. It is enormous. It forced its way through. Jiang Sun's gaze fixed on the fresh gashes across the beast's body, his tone grave. It pushed through the spatial rift, willing to scrape off layers of its own skin just to reach us. The colossal alligator advanced slowly until it stood beneath the city wall. Its eyes swept over the defenders atop the battlements. Then it lowered its head and charged straight into the wall. Boom! The whole wall shook violently, loose bricks showering down. Wu Tai stood on the wall, bracing himself with both arms. That hit was devastating. A thin crack snaked across the wall section beneath his feet. Wu Tai, retreat! Guan Shanhue shouted. That section will not hold. I cannot fall back. Wu Tai gritted his teeth, golden light bursting across his body. If I move, this wall collapses. Come on, strike me. Boom. Another crash. The crack widened. Wu Tai was knocked 2 steps backward, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. I am badly hurt. Wu Tai spat out a mouthful of blood. This monster hits harder than anything I have ever faced. Iron Ball. Jiang Sun called out. Go help Wu Tai hold the wall. Iron Ball shot forward, growing to full size and kicking the giant alligator square in the head. The beast staggered, then whipped its tail around. Iron Ball was sent flying, slamming into the wall and leaving a deep crater. Nobody has ever knocked me flying like this. Iron Ball climbed back to its feet, burning with rage. Do not rush in recklessly. Jiang Sun shouted quickly. Elsewhere along the wall, the warriors from the Spirit Pavilion fared far worse. The alligator's latest blow split a huge section of their wall apart. Stones pouring down. 2 warriors were crushed by falling rubble, screaming as they were buried. Hold the line. Hold the line. Their squad leader roared hoarsely. Healers, over here. Their designated healer could no longer keep up with the flood of injuries. Bai Lu bit her lip and sent wave after wave of green healing light toward the wounded to offer support. Chaos erupted across the battlements. Jiang Sun kept laying down runes while glancing toward the damaged wall, his brow furrowed. At that moment, his eyes caught sight of one unusual figure. A Spirit Pavilion guard in official robes walked along the inner side of the wall, an area completely safe from monster attacks. He moved at an unhurried pace. As he passed another guard squatting by the wall giving water to an injured fighter, he paused, bent down as if checking the wounded man's condition, and rested his hand briefly on the man's chest. Then he stood upright and kept walking. A few steps onward, he pressed a hand against his robe, where a square-shaped object was hidden beneath the fabric. Jiang Sun dismissed the sight from his mind and returned to laying runes. The battle raged on. The giant alligator slammed itself against the wall again and again. Cracks spread wider and wider across the stonework. Guan Shanhue's soul-resting bell stood upon the wall, its golden light fading steadily. We cannot keep taking hits like this. Qin Yimian shouted. If we only defend and never attack, the wall will break sooner or later. Where is its weak point? Gu Changfeng drew his sword. Does anyone know where to strike? Its eyes, Shen Xingzi called out. I tested it earlier. The shell around its eyes is much thinner. Then we aim for the eyes. Guan Shanhue roared. Everyone, focus fire on its head. All attacks shifted toward the alligator's skull. Striking blows forced the beast to squeeze its eyes shut. It stamped one foot, creating a patch of mud, and stepped backward half a pace. It is working. Keep firing. Qin Yumian's voice had grown hoarse. With far fewer demon apes left down below, Jiang Sun joined the offensive. Waiting any longer would only waste time. He needed to help destroy the elite monster as fast as possible. Blast after blast of mana bullets flew out from his hands, cast with 0 consumption and no cooldown. His damage output was astonishing. After all his recent stat gains, Jiang Sun's spell attack power had reached 1557. Combined with his silver LV.5 mana bullet skill boasting a multiplier of 11.99, each shot packed incredible force. Firing 2 bullets at once. Damage numbers of 7,146 and 7,146 popped up repeatedly above the giant alligator's head. Between its 8,460 defense stat and its 30% passive damage reduction, each mana bullet could only deal around 7,000 points of damage. But Jiang Sun possessed unlimited firepower. Gu Changfeng's sword strikes usually hit for 5 or 6,000 damage at most. Yet Jiang Sun's mana bullets were already outdamaging him. Jiang Sun pointed toward the giant alligator. Dark blue mana bullets, each slightly larger than a basketball, streaked one after another toward the monster. The stream of blue projectiles formed a long glowing trail across the sky, like a rapid-fire energy machine gun. Every warrior on the wall stared in stunned disbelief. He was a summoner. How could a summoner unleash such overwhelming offensive power? His output even outstripped the basic sword strikes of Gu Changfeng, the SS rank sword soul talent wielder. High damage alone would have surprised them. But this relentless rate of fire? No cooldown, no resource cost, and such an enormous attack range. Letting him fight safely from far away without rushing into close combat, they watched the long blue trail of mana bullets fly through the air, completely dumbfounded. Jiang Sun had hidden this tremendous power all along, letting everyone else exhaust themselves to the limit. Our damage-dealing savior has finally joined the fight, Lu Jinghong yelled out in excitement. Jiang Sun's terrifying hidden SSS rank professional mark, the Summoner, was finally beginning to reveal its true, frightening potential. All four of his base stats had risen significantly from hours of monster slaughtering. His current stats were Constitution 202, Strength 137, Agility 156, Intelligence 191. No other first-tier professional could boast such impressive values. Every time a professional levels up, they gain 9 attribute points, for points automatically assigned by their class, plus 5 freely distributable points. Add in points gained from quests and advancement rewards. Ordinary first-tier peak professionals usually only have around 1,000 total attribute points. Yet Jiang Sun, this level 10 nobody, already has a total of 686 attribute points. Of those, 439 were gained through the Life Seal's plunder ability over this period. His attributes were simply explosive. Even more abnormal, however, was his skill damage multiplier. Mana Bullet, Silver LV.5, boasted a damage multiplier as high as 11.99. Who could compete with that? No wonder all the prodigies stared at Jiang Sun as if he were a monster. Didn't everyone say summoners had barely any offensive power of their own? How could he hit so hard? This defied all logic. Just then, a commotion broke out on the inner side of the city wall. Someone's dead. We've got a fatality over here, a voice shouted. Had another person been killed by a monster's bone spear? Jiang Sun's heart tightened. He hurried over to the inner wall. A Lingshu Pavilion defender lay motionless against the wall, his eyes wide open. There were no wounds on his body, not a single cut anywhere. Yet his face bore an odd grayish-blue hue, his lips dark purple, as if something had drained the life right out of him in an instant. He was fine just a moment ago. The guard beside him spoke in a trembling voice. He ran out of mana, sat down right here to rest, and then the next second he had no life left in him. Where's the monster? Did one break through the wall? Someone called out. Nothing broke through, the man snapped. No monsters have even made it up here. How could he just die like this? Could an invisible high-rank monster have snuck onto the wall? At those words, professionals with reveal invisibility skills quickly cast their abilities. They searched for a long time, yet not a single trace of a monster was found. If it wasn't a monster, then this was most likely deliberate homicide, Jiang Sun said. Silence fell briefly over the inner section of the wall. Jiang Sun stared at the dead man's grayish-blue face, an unexplained chill creeping over him. Suddenly, he recalled the figure who had squatted by the wall earlier, bending down to check someone's injury. He remembered the hand that had rested briefly over the wounded man's chest. He also thought of the square-shaped object hidden inside that person's robe, whose outline had been visible as they walked. He shook his head, pushing those thoughts aside. This was no time to dwell on them. The giant alligator was still ramming the wall. Yet the suspicion lingered like a thorn stuck in his mind, impossible to pull out. Their top priority was to slay the giant alligator. If this elite monster was not killed soon, the city wall would crumble. Once that happened, everyone would be forced to fight the beast horde scattered across the city, and their battle would become far more desperate.